Good. Okay,
Everybody.
welcome. Please no cross talking. I'm Pat Moore, Chair of the Quality of Life Committee. This is Mariama James, Co-Chair. And this is Tammy Meltzer, our Chair of the entire board. And this is Charlotte Newman, who is our new executive assistant.
Our summer college.
Intern, yes.
Yes.
So.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We're going to go in order of the agenda. I'm not sure that everyone has seen the agenda. So the first item on the agenda is the Manhattan Borough-based jail, and then we'll do the Safe Haven, which I know most of you are here for. So starting with the Manhattan Borough-based jail, Laura, Scott, would you please introduce yourselves and proceed.
Okay, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Messier. I'm the outreach manager for the Borough-based Jails program on behalf of the Department of Design and Construction, that is the agency tasked with designing and building these new facilities. And I'm here today with my colleague.
Scott Brokaw from Gramercy Group, the general contractor taking down the jail.
And we're here today to provide updates on the dismantle process and what's going on with the site. So without further ado, our agenda will always start with what we've heard slide, which is a recap of feedback and questions that we've been hearing from the community since the last time y'all met. Then I'll hand it over to Scott, who will go through updates on the dismantle project. We'll quickly recap community engagement and resources at the end, and then we'll open it up for questions. So as always, there's a continuing and running requests for updates on the dismantling milestones, where we're at in the schedule and what is upcoming next as far as work on the site. We've also gotten a lot of questions about folks wanting updates on what is happening with the Chungpack first floor wall that was showing cracks the last time that we were here, as well as the Sweets Bakery HVAC system. So we'll provide updates on that along with the dismantling milestones on slide 5. We'll also go through environmental monitoring updates. So that's updates about air, noise, and vibration monitoring that we have set up around the site. That's on slides 9 through 14. And finally, there's been an ongoing request that the city has been considering and in dialogues with your elected officials about for an independent environmental monitor to bring those on. So we are happy to share with everyone today that that is in progress. We've reached an agreement with the elected officials, and the city has put out, it started the procurement process for that. So we are looking for an MWBE, which stands for Minority or Women-Owned Business Enterprise, to fulfill that contract. We hope to have them on board sometime this summer. And as part of that, we're going to be starting regular bi-monthly meetings. When we're not here meeting with the community board on alternate months, we'll be meeting with a working group, and this independent monitor will also be presenting and they can share information with the community board as well. So once we have them on board, we'll introduce them to the community and share more information about that process.
NAC. We haven't had a TAC meeting for the BJ in,
Oh, the NAC.
NAC, whatever you want to call it. But there hasn't been a meeting in Asia. We appreciate the fact that you come here. There are other people from CB3 and others that are involved with the NAC that should be updated and informed at all times.
Understood. Do we have someone from CAU on the line to speak to that? Because as you know, the NAC is a group that is coordinated between City Hall and the council member's office. That's not something that I have direct jurisdiction over.
Yeah, we talk, Robin.
Yeah, Robin, are you on?
Yes, I am, and I have just unmuted. How's everybody tonight? I am aware that we have not had an ACT meeting in a while. We can talk offline about it. It seemed that there was a certain amount of redundancy with this meeting. If there is a huge desire to resume those meetings, I'm happy to discuss it, and we can do that. Not here, but sometime soon we can put together a little discussion group.
Thank you, Robin. I appreciate that. I do think because there are people who are not here, that they belong to CB3, that the NAC is really important, because the BBJ, for the most part, only reports back to CB1.
Yeah, I understand that. The NAC appointees from community boards basically come from Community Board 1 and not Community Board 3. But But again, let's talk about that offline.
Okay,
Thanks, Robin.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Robin.
Anytime.
Okay, great question. Thanks, Tammy. And at this point, I'm gonna hand it over to Scott, who's gonna go through the dismantle project updates. Do you want the controller? Do you want me to take it?
Sure. Thanks, Lauren. As you mentioned, I'm Scott with Gramercy Group. I'll be walking us through the updates on dismantlement progress. Throughout the project. So the top few items are items that have been completed, in the past, and the bottom are the ones we're going to focus on today, the upcoming and ongoing work throughout the dismantlement progress. We have the North Tower dismantlement, which I know we've had some questions about chunk packs on the commercial side. The parapet work, infill wall, and the waterproofing are ongoing throughout the summer. The HVAC unit relocation, which I know
I'm
specifically.
sorry, can we go
Yeah.
back to Chunk Pack? So the
Yeah.
wall is completely repaired?
No, it's ongoing throughout the summer, the waterproofing process and the replacement of the wall in the first place.
So what else has to be, how much more work has to be done before it's completed?
The North Tower wall needs to be removed so that we can complete the waterproofing process. And once those upper floors are waterproofed and tight, then the lower wall will be completed and replaced.
And so what's keeping anything from getting into the Chunk Pack building?
It's currently ongoing. We have waterproofing process ongoing on the site.
And what does that consist of?
It's a waterproofing cement that gets applied to the exterior of the building.
And is it temporary or is it going to be?
That's the permanent solution. Temporary measures are taken in areas and have it includes tarping and things like that.
And you're obviously working with the owner of the building, and,
That's correct.
okay, and they have any complaints at this time?
We've been working with them very well. And the bakery is the next item on here. The HVAC unit relocation is actually scheduled for tomorrow. So that work is being coordinated with both the tenant and Shanghai.
can you speak to the exhaust fan, which we've heard exhaustingly about?
So,
Pun intended or not?
Oh, pun.
so there's essentially two units associated with the bakery. There's one exhaust fan from there that exhausts out to the roof. There's an additional fan that exhaust fan connected to that was not operational prior to any work occurring. The bakery attended a walkthrough with us prior to us relocating that non-working section of the fan before any work was continued. So, do you have any follow-up questions?
So you removed the fan that wasn't,
The fan that wasn't working has been moved to a new location on the roof as previously coordinated. The fan was not working before. All we did was move it to a new location at this time.
that is working now.
That fan is still not working.
That's so what's-
They're-
But it was,
they're-
it was not working
I got it.
prior to Gramercy
Right.
touching it.
So,
Yeah.
so whose responsibility is to get it working?
That is the bakery and or Chunk Pack. It's,
The bakery,
yes.
okay.
Is the bakery able to get it working in the new relocated location that you have? Because the concern we have is bakery, smoke cannot come into the bakery and ruin the products and work environment. It is a whole point of no matter what you're doing over there,
Mhm.
to make sure the bakery can operate.
Yes.
So regardless, I need some assurances that the bakery fans and ventilation, no matter where it is, will operate the way that they operated prior to, because there was no smoke in said bakery.
The fans, correct me if I'm wrong, are currently operating the same way that they were operating prior to Gramercy touching the unit.
Which is not
And
working.
I was in the bakery this morning. A number of us have been in there. It's open. I meant to sit down to eat the sweet treat that I bought. Every single table in there was full. So they're open, they're guiding. I was not seeing any smoke coming out of there. I do encourage anyone who has concerns to stop by the bakery, pop in. They make delicious treats in there.
Is the
About
bakery
8:90
satisfied
this
though
morning.
with
I think the gentleman behind you is from the bakery.
No, actually, I am an architect. I work in Berlin. I was actually the architect who went to.
Speak a little louder, please.
I was the architect who went to the bakery to inspect the fan. And I didn't test the fan to see if it was working, but what was very clear was that the fan hooked up to the exhaust line. So there's an exhaust fan that comes out of the roof, and there's a piece of dangling ductwork that was never reconnected to the fan. So I don't know what the scope was, but to me, it seems like there's no way the fan could ever work. That's fine in line of duct.
Yes, and that's the work that's, oh,
Yeah, that's the work that's scheduled for tomorrow to reconnect the two units.
I'm sorry, Scott. I'm
So, I'm sorry. The work that's scheduled for tomorrow is to connect the ductwork between the exhaust fan coming out of the roof and the unit that was relocated that was never working prior to.
Now, the unit that was relocated is also an exhaust fan? So they had two exhaust fans.
Yes.
One worked, one didn't work.
yes.
But now they're being impacted by the deconstruction, by the
No,
demolition.
there are two exhaust fans. One has always been working and continues to work, and that's an exhaust fan that sits between the bakery's kitchen and the rooftop. So that's the fan that's actually pulling the air out of the bakery's kitchen and exhausting onto the roof. There's a second fan that sits inside of the HVAC unit that Gramercy relocated that was not working before. So currently, you're right, the ductwork isn't hooked up to that fan, but that's okay because that fan wasn't working. So that all the exhaust is still able to get out of the kitchen and
So
onto
it
the
pulls
rooftop.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes.
So what was the point of relocating a non-working exhaust fan?
Because Gramercy needs.
Yeah, so, the location of the original unit was in the way of a parapet that we need to build back onto their roof so that Tumpac's roof is up to code.
Okay.
So, because it was in the way, we relocated it.
But I'm still confused, because if it wasn't working and they don't need it, why spend money?
Because it was sitting in the location of where Gramercy needs to build the parapet.
But why not just remove it and not relocate it?
Because that's not a decision for Gramercy to make.
So the bakery wanted it relocated?
So it needed to be relocated as part of the project. We relocated it so that they have the option if they want to repair it because it was broken before we got there.
Right, right.
They could do that, or if they want to replace it, they have both, they have more options this way.
So they agreed that it was broken before you got there?
They were at the walkthrough when we went through it being, I don't have something in writing from them stating that.
I wanted to clarify Lauren's comments. When you said that everything is as it was prior to your starting, you mean one working and one non-working?
Correct.
That's the condition.
Yes.
Okay, so
And when was that inspected to know one was working, one wasn't? Was that after demolition started or before?
I have to go back through the walkthrough was. I had to go back through the paperwork, honestly.
the two people who are standing, I think there are chairs behind the door if you want to grab one, somebody can bring a chair up here and up here. Okay.
Then Jacob's going to space.
Yeah, that's. You're okay? Yeah. Okay, so sorry, Scott.
Okay,
That was.
Yeah.
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 You want us to proceed with the presentation
Yeah.
or are there more questions on?
No, I think we're okay. Keep going.
okay. So on the residential side, that's where the north wall is still remaining. That is to be removed and then, waterproofed, after, throughout the removal process. We're gonna waterproof as we move down. The south tower dismantlement began in February and is continuing through the end of this calendar year. And substantial completion is scheduled for the beginning of 2025. This site layout gives you up to date, showing the north wall's been removed. I mean, the north tower's been removed, as well as the bridge that connected the two. On the south tower, we're currently 4 floors down in the dismantlement process. You can see the note on the bottom, the shed on between Walker Street and White Street for the north tower is scheduled to be removed this summer. We continue to flag any trucking in and out of the site onto the old White Street off of Center Street. Here's some photos from, actually today of the site. So on the left, you can see the South Tower, dismantlement photo. You can see we have the crane on site. You can see the, all the scaffolding up with the sound blankets. And on the right side, you can see we installed recently, scaffolding along the North Tower wall that also has sound blankets and netting at the working decks, to help mitigate any, noise and or dust. Throughout the site, we have a New York City Department of Health approved rodent and pest specialist that comes and checks the traps and bait stations that are all contained within the site. It continues to do monthly checks and inspections and prepares a monthly report for his findings. Essentially, they just monitor how much of the bait gets taken, if they need to increase the.
I didn't get the question.
Increase,
What was the question?
so what are the fine, I think, they essentially just monitor for how much bait they need to put out based off of the activity in the area, so it just makes changes based off of
And the community.
findings he found.
Sammy has a question.
So I'll go back to the same ask that we've asked. I'm really thrilled that we're gonna have an environmental monitor. That's awesome sauce. But I'm looking for clarity for what we had with 250 water, which for all the troubles and everything that we had in the Mercury factory, I have to say they were excellent in communications. And daily monitoring was accessible so that the schools surrounding and the other communities could see the spike. I understand that the city needs some time to figure out what the spike is, but it's not that hard as what 250 water showed us. There was really great cross partnership on that. So when we have environmental monitoring plan, finding the information out 30 to 60 days later has not been what your community is comfortable with or happy with, because you have people living and working around and commuting around. So I will say again, based on environmental plan, we'd like to be able to see in that same kind of base plan that we had that worked so well at 250, that model. With daily access to information, not information that's so old that community sits and wonders to themselves, was I standing there when those plumes came out? Was I in my office? Did I have the windows open? That's just not what we need for partnership. This is a 10-year project in the making. So putting it back, reminding you, you've heard me say it before, you've heard many members of the community say it, advocating again, because I can't say it early or often enough from what we keep being asked.
And part of that is again necessary because of the hypersensitivity in the area to environmental toxins that we were already exposed to. And so people are not wanting to wait 60 days to learn whether or not what they breathe in on any given day was safe or not.
Well, I do just want to add, as we've said before, so we are going to continue with issuing our reports on a monthly basis as was previously negotiated and agreed to with this community board. However, if anyone sees, hears, or feels anything on the site on any given day or time, if you look out your window and you see something, and you look like, oh, maybe there's a lot of dust, anyone from this community is welcome to reach out to our team. You can say, hey, I'm standing on the site. It's, Saturday, July, I don't know what the next Saturday in July is. It's Monday, July 1st. I know that date. And it's
the first Saturday.
good. It's like 3:23 p.m. I see a big cloud of dust. Can you let me know what the air monitor said? We can do that. We can go in and check it. It might not be in 5 minutes, but we'll try to get back to you within the same day if possible. So we can do that. But as far as issuing the full monthly reports that we put out, that is going to continue on a monthly basis. But I just, if you see something that is a concern, no one here has to wait until the monthly report comes out. You can call us, email our CCL, reach out to us, and we'll get you.
Just give everybody the information.
Just the contact information, we'll have it on one of the last slides.
Last slides.
Hold it up.
Yeah.
So you're only gonna give the environmental information monthly?
That's what we've been doing. We've issued our full reports that have all
Which
the
is
data
what we
and the
say in
charts
math.
and narrative on a monthly basis, as was previously negotiated and agreed to with this community board, yes.
As you agreed to, that didn't qualify what we were still looking for. It's better than it used to be, but we still ask
The
for.
request in the resolution was for monthly monitoring reports, and we updated it, it was quarterly in the beginning, and we uploaded it to monthly at the request of this community board.
No,
So request for daily monitoring, would you try to give us that?
That's not something our team is gonna be able to do, but we can do monthly monitoring reports.
And your kids,
So we are bringing on an independent environmental monitor, and we'll be reviewing the communication plan with this community once we have them on board. I cannot answer that question at this time.
well, you will mention that we would like them to give us steady.
Yes, that request has been heard.
Okay, Vera? Vera? And we can't hear you.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but Lauren, I think the onus is on you to let us know when there's something to be of concern, right? Because you're monitoring there every day. So I would appreciate if you would let us know if there is something to be concerned about in real time. And that is something that is absolutely required, I think, on your side.
Yes, if there's something that happens that we feel is a concern to public safety, we will be notifying everyone, yes.
Mitch?
I was under the mistaken impression that if a business on Baxter Street was complaining about a lot of dust in a restaurant, that you might be providing a HEPA air filter, and then some of the other members told me that that wasn't the case. So the full Pastor, there was no Vietnamese restaurant on Baxter Street, about a month ago when I was there. Then all week, dust. They have no idea that there's anybody that they can turn to. At that time, I told him, I think we might be able to contact some agency to get like a HEPA filter, and it turned out that that wasn't the case. But is that something that we might consider, if a business reaches out to you? Because I know that the manager of the place, they've been there for decades and decades. They're not rabble rouse or anything like that. They don't even know who to turn to. But is that something that we might consider?
So the city is not distributing HEPA filters to surrounding residential businesses. Again, what we are doing is monitoring the air quality and the dust concentrations around the site to make sure that things are staying within healthy, safe levels. So on the basis of that, we are not planning to issue.
So that's just some feedback. And then the other quick thing, you know, if the pediatric clinic has able to come back to their building, or it's still kind of, it's not, you know.
They relocated that, a while ago. I don't believe that they have moved back at this
Right,
time.
right. Okay, thank you.
Anybody else online with their hand?
It's my,
Oh,
What is the determining factor to ascertain what you feel is worth reporting to the community or not?
if we have exceedances that are, for a sustained period of time that are above the city, state, and federal regulations, we can notify the community.
Andrea, unmute.
Hey, so I walk by your CCL office, pretty much every day when I go to work. Usually around like 8:30 to 9. You always tell us that we should report everything, but that lady's never there. I know she only has office hours, like 2 hours a day, like Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Friday, and then she's out doing community outreach. But all the community outreach I see her doing is just like posting really small font updates in like random parts of buildings that no one looks at. So, there's theoretically there is a person, that's supposed to be there, but in reality, it's really not doing much in terms of, reaching the community and letting them know what's going on. The posters that you put up are in like, random places. At least in my building, it's like by the trash chute. And then like the 10 font, like if I didn't know what it was, I would just walk by. You have to get real close to see it. So, maybe it's something you guys can work on.
Laura, doesn't there be email list and doesn't that?
Yes, so all of the notifications, so we issue out construction bulletins on a weekly basis. We also post advisories in advance of any impactful construction activity, like if we need to close down a sidewalk or a street for, a day to perform the work. So all of that goes out through, we call it the NNN list, the neighborhood notification list. Actually, let me just jump forward a number of slides to the end. We have our CCL's contact information. So if anyone in the room is not it's not jumping forward. Could you come forward while I'm talking?
What are you doing
Walk
that?
through that.
Andrea, are you getting the notifications via email?
I do, but I just feel like, if you're gonna have rent out a whole office, it'd be nice to have staffing there, more than 2 hours a day randomly, 3 days out of the 5 days of the week. If you're supposed to be
Sure,
open
so
from
if I
7
may-
if you're supposed to be open from
if I may-
7:30 to 3 o'clock, you should be open from 7:30 to 3 o'clock. Like if I posted office hours from 9 to 5 and it's only there like, 2 hours a day, that's kind of misleading.
Absolutely. So our office is open and functional for those hours that we state. The preferred drop-in hours are exactly that. These are times when Nikita makes every effort to be there and at her desk. She's actually, I will say, she is on vacation this week, so other team members, including myself, I was there all day today. We're doing our best to staff that in the meantime. Beginning next week, Nikita will be back in her regular office hours. So during those hours, that's where she's making an effort to be there and sitting at her desk. However, any member of the public, if you're walking over, text her or give her a call and say, hey, I'm a couple blocks away. Can we meet? Nikita can pick up her phone and meet you there. These are just preferred hours where she plans to be sitting there. Our CCLs do a lot of things. It's not just that she's not there. She might be out in the neighborhood distributing this information. She might be meeting with the site team, getting updates like in real time, day to day. She's talking with people like Scott, like Rich, figuring out what's going on site, making sure she's abreast of all the current information and can share that out with the community. She might be on site, looking at work activities, assessing what's going on, making sure she's aware of everything. So they have a big job and they do a lot of different activities. So just because you don't see her there, doesn't mean that she's not around within a near radius of the site and working. And we do encourage anyone, you can always call in advance and make an appointment. You can call her when you're on your way over. We will, she'll bend over backwards trying to meet with people. She meets with a lot of people in the CCL office.
So let me just understand, when she's posting updates, she's physically posting them on lamp posts and.
Yeah, so if it's an advisory, what we try to do, like if, for instance, if a street needs to be closed down, Nikita will usually post them around the site, but then try to concentrate them in the area where that work is going to be impacting the community. The weekly bulletins, which I think Andrea might be referring to, because those use a little bit smaller font, because they're listing out, all the upcoming activities. We distribute those around to local businesses or in offices. And Andrea, if you have a suggestion, if there's a better location in your building where you would like Nikita to post that, by all means, you can tell us here or shoot her an email with the contact information on the screen and let her know if there's a better location in your building. I mean, it goes for anyone. Please communicate with us if there's a better spot for someone to.
And so the information that's sent out in the email is also
Yes.
physically posted.
Yes.
And so the daily update, that whatever's happening that day, is it at all possible to post it in larger font on a bigger piece of paper? I suppose.
So we put out the weekly weekly bulletins and then advisories a few days in advance of impactful. And the advisories are usually, the headlines are pretty big. That's printed on bigger paper. Yeah.
Oh, can I make
Sarah-
one suggestion? I mean, if you really want to reach the people and let us know what's going on, instead of saying you're building smaller, safer jails, can you tell them that you want to build a 40-story jail that's going to cost X number of billion of dollars? So, this is some information that people should be aware of around. These kind of advisories about, construction, people tend to, pass by and not notice them. But if you can truthfully tell people what is going on across the street, that you want to build a 40-story jail, okay, that this is going to cost X number of billions of dollars, and it's going to cost, that would be very helpful.
Okay, that's a different kind of, information giving, and we can have a meeting if we need to do it again for the community to be made aware of what's happening. These are construction updates. We can have a community meeting. Construction. Deconstruction, right.
They're not building.
Demolition. We can have a separate meeting to give the community updates on what's happening and how much it will cost and all the details. We can do that separately.
And I will just say, we are planning that. The city is currently in procurement to get the design builder on board for the new facility. And once that happens, we are planning a series of workshops with the community to get the community's design input and to delve into all this in more detail. This is not the time yet. We're not able to share all the information, but that's going to happen.
Robin, I know you want to share. Can you wait a second? Yeah, Robin?
Yeah, hi. Just very quickly, for those of you who've known me for a while, I have worked with a lot of CCLs over the years. And the purpose of a CCL is really to work with the community and let the community know what's going on. Andrea, somebody said this already. If there are better places to post in the neighborhood, please let us know. We don't know the ins and outs of all the buildings, and Nikita's doing the best she can. Also, for people who want to meet with the CCL, part of the job, as Lauren just described, is to go out and talk to people. But if you want to meet with her, you just need to contact her by text, by email, by phone, and I'm sure she will put together time for you to see with her, but to meet with her. But her job is not to sit at her desk all day. She's hired to work with the community and let the community know what's going on, whether that's face to face, in the form of written communications and phone calls and in notices. So that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Norman. Jared?
So I had one question, but now I have two questions. The second question came up, you said design building, does that mean that's gonna be a design, like a design build process?
It's designed
Speak a little louder.
Meaning that it's not a separate, it's not broken down, it's separate, it's one.
correct. The whole BBJ program on in all 4 boroughs that we are working, this is design build. So there will be one design build team. And for anyone who's unfamiliar, that means that it's a team that is the designer and the contractor in one.
And the desire there is speed and also.
Yes.
Got it. So the second question was about the bidding process for the in-between air monitoring. But can you speak a little bit more about what that process will look like, the timeline, and when realistically are we going to be doing it? Because it sounds like it happens sometime this summer and summer's here and it's going to be in place and there will be some lead time and
Yes.
getting in there before, it's pretty structured.
Yes, so I know that this is going through the city's MWBE procurement process. I'm personally not an expert in the city's procurement processes, so I don't want to delve into details that I'm inadequate at speaking to. However, we are aware that the community really wants to happen soon. The MWBE procurement process, to my understanding, is faster than the regular procurement process, so we are optimistic we will have someone on board before the end of the summer. We would love it if we could have them on board before the working session that we're planning to schedule in July, but if not, we'll let the community know. So as soon as I have an update and a clearer timeline, I will share that with everyone.
And you'll let us know as soon as you hire them, what you
Yes,
just said.
yes.
Yeah. Jared, anything else?
I mean, other than just to state the obvious, that it's, the longer it takes for this to be put in place, I mean, you're already 4 floors down in the second building, one building, but, I mean, I want to say that it's at a certain point, but,
All right, Scott, have you finished? Recently finished?
No, I could go back to
Okay.
where we were and continue from there, if that's all right.
Can we go back, or we need Charlotte to go back?
Too far.
That's good?
Maybe on the next slide, we can just share the environmental updates from the last couple of months as we do, and then
Yeah, that's,
I think all of the slides are ones that are showing past
but
dates.
in the next one.
Yeah. that makes sense. And the next one. Okay, there you go.
There we go. All right, so updates over the past 2 months. So we've been monitoring, as we spoke about, for air noise and vibration. As you can see, there were no days due to dust concentration being above the action levels for the construction activities. The noise monitor, we did have one instance in May, where on May 10th, where we did exceed a noise for a 20-minute interval. That was immediately taken care of by adding additional foam boards inside the bridge. This was at a monitor within the courthouse. So we added additional foam boards to help mitigate the sound in this area. On the vibration monitors through April and May, there were a total of 6 exceedances, none of which took place during construction hours. So these were unrelated to any construction activities, and the nearby monitors also did not come up with any readings, which leads to that it was knocked by something.
Any questions on air monitor, Jared?
Are any of them internal, or they're all outside? And when
The
there's
internal to the site, not
internal to
inside the
any
building.
area building. I mean, you're talking, if you're moving in the open air, there's a lot of open air, but the question ultimately is what is getting into the anyway. With AI, so I'm not thinking that.
So is your question with regard to air quality? So we have 5 AQSs throughout the site, and they are all located outside to monitor the air quality that's in the closest vicinity to the actual construction activities.
But they're set up around the site perimeter, so they're capturing the air that's leaving from the site to make sure that what is dissipating out into the community is within the safe levels. If we were to put these, for instance, as you're asking, like right immediately inside the site, they'd be right next to the machines that are working and they would.
Outside the site, from the area, building, the question is what's settling? What's getting into the, well, in the HVAC, what's settling? There's no.
So the AQS monitors are set up in a way that they're very close, they're closer to the site than the actual building, so they would get to those
Right,
AQS.
so in the open. Outdoors.
Yeah.
There's wind, there's.
Right, so some of the dust is being filtered out, so it's not accurate compared to the.
Okay, Mitch,
that got-
Mitch,
No, I'm agreeing with it.
that's right. So what you're saying is, well, you understand the process, they're monitoring the air that's leaving the site,
I do, yeah.
and that's before it gets to a building. Theoretically, they're monitoring it.
What I'm saying is that nobody has any idea whatsoever what's winding up in any sort of concentration internal, and it's really what people are actually, that nobody knows. So I guess, let me rephrase, it. When there is an independent monitor, we ask for that be part of it,
That will,
that it
I
be,
mean, that's why the community asked for an independent monitor. Does that make sense?
But I think the independent monitor is gonna be reviewing all of the same data and systems that we currently have set up and also like reporting and communicating and sharing out to the community. So I think that these are all good questions and hopefully we will have that independent monitor on soon to help.
But I mean, the reality is, and Jared said it, if we don't get the independent monitor before the demolition is complete, and, you know, things that we get. Jill, Mariana, and then Mitch, and then Jim.
Do you have any, you're aware of any findings from the heat wave last week? When we had particularly poor air quality in general throughout the city? Is there, are you aware of any additional, yeah, impact?
I'm not personally aware of any, but
No, we did not, yeah, we'll double check, but our air quality monitors were.
But you would have been told, even if we have to wait until next month, we would have been told if there was.
Yeah, I was not
something.
notified of any exceedances due to air quality.
Did the workers continue to work through those 92-degree temperatures?
they did, we had additional water on site and, work through, reduce shifts and things like that to help, rotating shifts and things like that, so the inside, outside type of work.
So you continued work, you didn't stop.
So yeah, plenty of cold water for all the guys on site, it's very important for
Mitch?
the worker safety.
So to piggyback what Jared said, we hit the nail on the head. So besides the independent monitor, monitoring everything that you guys are doing, and trying the best, can we request that the independent monitor also, separate from what monitoring you guys, also do what Jared was saying and kind of try to monitor the dust right next to some of the businesses that have been complaining about an overabundance of dust. I don't know if there's a way that we can, we can force it, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would think that, and, Tim, wouldn't the public be asking the independent monitor to do certain monitoring?
I think that once we get the working group set up, the public should be a part of this. Representatives of around the area, like that.
So we're gonna-
All right,
We
so,
had a working group around 250. I would assume the city would mock a successful engagement and work with our elected officials who know how that worked, and it included the locals, the representatives at 250 from Bexley School and Blue School, and the neighboring buildings, and Southbridge Towers, and the other residential buildings. And CB1, so I would assume, for example, Alice would be involved in that as the CB1 rep. And many others, and we would move forward to make sure that the Chinatown
But
bid Chung
I know you have nothing to do with it, but we do need that monitor in place ASAP. Yeah.
I understand.
Jill,
Yeah, no, it's actually going to what everyone's just saying right now. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I thought an independent monitor might be independently setting up monitors, not just monitoring the existing data.
It depends on what you do. The independent monitor worked with worked with the environmental company that HHC had hired to do interpreting data, listening to the community. Was a bridge in between the two that was more real time, and did not set up their own monitors, but helped correct where they thought that the existing monitors being paid should be moved to.
and they received all of the information that was gotten from this one.
Yeah.
And is there an RFP that we can see that's gone out for this?
I will have to check if that's something that is public and that we can share or not.
Yeah, it should be public, so, yeah. Would you be able to send that in advance then?
I will have to check. I don't want to make any promises that I can't
We'll get
keep,
back.
so I will have to check and get back to you.
Thank you.
All right, Jared, you have something else?
No, I mean, I was just curious.
We need to get
Yeah.
this segment concluded. Who else? Vera wants to say something again. Hi, Vera.
Yeah, no, just quickly, on May 17th, the whole Walker Street was being ripped up and causing a lot of noise and dust. So on both sides, Chung Pak on both sides was being pummeled. So Lauren, I just wanted to know, did your monitors pick up anything? Sound wise, vibration wise, because there was a lot of activity going on. Apparently it wasn't yours, but I wanted to know if your monitors picked up anything.
We'll have to go back and check exactly what dates. I do see on here that we did have some, there were alerts for the noise monitor that weren't related to construction activity. So that was, if I recall, because I think we got some emails about that Walker Street work during that time. So if I recall correctly, that was Con Ed. It is not related to the jails program. So I can go back and check here to see what exactly the monitors were picking up on those dates.
And also, did anyone from the community, even though they didn't know it was Con Ed, but did anyone from the community alert Nikita and say we have this noise that's going on?
People reached out and say, hey, there's work going on in Walker Street, it's noisy, what's happening? And we were able to check and say that, it's, our team was not working at that time. It was Con Ed, and we unfortunately can't share out information on behalf of Con Ed. So we were able to confirm it was not related to
information.
the jails. Yeah. But Con Ed does have their own community representatives and liaisons that we would urge the court to reach out to.
All right, Scott, how much more? Sorry.
There's just about a couple more slides, right?
I think we got to the end, and we had the
Yeah.
CCL slide up.
Yeah, this was just a handoff to Lauren, so.
Okay, so any more questions
We'll
from
put the CCL
members
slide
of
back
the
up. on the
committee
machine.
and community board?
So does the CCL get notified when Con Ed was doing work? Not that I'm asking. I mean,
Mm-mm. You mean, does
Con Ed
Con Ed notify our team?
are you on their distribution list?
Yeah. I don't believe Con Ed reaches out to us directly.
So since you're the city and I would think that we have a greater connection, it would be great to have Con Ed be able to notify you and at least at a base minimum, have some kind of connection here. I find it, I don't expect you to distribute for Con Ed. Con Ed is a big company, they got lots of people. But I would hope and expect that perhaps there can be some kind of a connection that amongst the CCLs. It seems like a missed opportunity. We no longer have the Lower Manhattan Construction Control Group. But you are representing New York City and the largest mega jail project and the largest project in CB1. There is nothing bigger than you. You hold the biggest hammer. I would suspect if the city agencies reached to Con Ed and said, we'd like to be on your list so we know what's going on, that would do nothing but help the neighbors. I don't expect Nikita to rep Con Ed, but perhaps you being there, Con Ed should let you know when they're outside the environmental monitors should know, because you're gonna have to justify that information anyway, right? It just seems like a bit of a missed bump to me.
Is
So
that something you can
one
work with
point of
Robin?
clarification, just for myself, Con Ed is not a city department or a city agency, and we do not have any jurisdiction
know
over them. We will try
I
to
know.
coordinate, but we also, we are not, like, Nikita's not gonna be sharing out any information about what Con Ed is or is not doing. But we'll try to stay aware of what their work activities
Well-
are to the extent that we can, but I can't make any promises on behalf
Can
of
Robin
what
work
Con Ed
with
is
you to
going
help
to.
facilitate that? with-
Robin?
Yeah,
Robin,
I
I
know
just wanted to say that while I don't know with certainty how communication gets to the project, I'm quite certain that there is ongoing communication between Con Ed and DDC. And obviously there are projects all over the city. There are representatives for Con Ed divided into boroughs and areas within boroughs. And there's no doubt communication. I don't know that it goes directly to the Gramercy team, but if there's something that is important for them to know, I'm sure they're advised.
I would love, Robin, if you can help get us all facilitated in terms of a CAU engagement opportunity. This is a really great thing. The community board is AKA officially asking if you can help, that we can get DDC and Con Ed connected. So there's some kind of cross, at least information, and perhaps some of the outreach teams for the list that DDC has could send it one email, out to their constituency list that says, would you want to be on the, if you are interested in more information on the surrounding Con Ed projects, please reach out to Joe CCL at ConEd. You know what I'm talking about?
I do. And let's talk about this because I think there is a lot of information out there that maybe you're not aware of. Certainly at the district service cabinet meetings, there is a lot of interaction between DDC and Con Edison. You see it every time, and with DEP for that matter. And
Let's talk about,
so-
Robin, specifically for this project, I mean, Con Ed is terrible about notification. I mean, we have a hard time getting them here for all the alliance issues, but if they could specifically notify Gramercy or Orem when there's some.
Again, Pat, I don't know the protocol, but let's talk about it and see if there's something we can do. If there are gaps in the communication that's going to Gramercy, then we need to address those. I'm not sure there are, but let's talk offline. I'm happy to facilitate such a discussion.
Sounds good.
I'm not even sure there has to be like a grand operation.
Right.
It's something as simple as the community contacts Nikita and says, what's going on? Because this is happening, I'm hearing this, or I'm smelling that. And she said, that's not us, that's Con Ed. And they say, okay, thanks, hang up and call 311 instead. It should be
And that
that
is
simple.
exactly what's happening. That's exactly what happened a few
Okay.
weeks ago. The
But-
community
but
contacted
United
Nikita,
Con Ed
said, hey, what's going on? And we
So they
said,
have it
that's not us,
consistently.
it's Con Ed.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, and that's as far as we're able to take it. The community at that point has to reach out to, yeah.
All
their
right,
own
last,
Con Ed.
last question is Jared.
There's a sidewalk shed on the Walker Street side, right?
Didn't you just say it's coming down?
On the Walker Street side, yep.
Yes.
So the Walker Street side has nothing to do with the BBJ project. On the Center Street side, and there's a small section on the Baxter Street side, has to do with the BBJ project, and that's what's scheduled to come down this time.
So the scaffolding and Walker.
I'm not sure.
The only thing I said is just the new trees that are underneath that side are, yes. It would be, given how wildly unpopular this project is, it would be a really nice gesture to have those, to prioritize replacing those.
We will be, as part of, and again, I can't get into design specifics because we're not there yet as part of the process, but there will be public realm improvements and streetscaping that will be done as part of the new facility, including new tree plantings. I think we've shared that, it's been a long time, but we've shared slides in the past that I think actually give a count of a number of trees that we'll be planting as part of the new facility. And we'll be happy to share, once we have designs of those and layouts, we'll bring those forward to the community and share them and get input on it.
Okay, we're gonna say thank you.
Thank
And
you.
we'll see
Thank you.
Enjoy
Thank you
the
all
rest
very
of the
much.
summer, and we'll see you in September.
All right, see you all in September. Thank you so much for having
And
us.
of course, you know, if anything comes up between.
Yes.
We'll see you in the summer.
That's true.
You
You'll
can
see me.
monitor.
In July.
Right.
You have many people in your house. So
Right.
thank you.
See you in a month. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, here's the controller, her over something next.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, thanks, Scott. Okay.
Thank you.
I see. Okay, so next item on our agenda, we're moving right along. We're gonna talk about the safe haven that is proposed.
And when we do, I'm gonna ask board members to move a little closer in. So if you can, speak up to the empty chairs that the agency just left. And the reason is for anybody who is staying from the public to be able to sit and have a chair towards the end and feel engaged.
So Desi, yeah, can you move up to chairs?
Jesse, move down to.
I'm a coming.
Sit over there, he's holding up the wall.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so moving right along. First of all, we do not have a presentation for you tonight. DSS and DHS have not. I'm going to let Tammy take over explaining, Bill explain the project, so, and what we know at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, I believe, just, can I see a show of hands? Who's here from the Texas School? And who's here from the neighboring buildings? Awesome. Okay, so,
I'll just tell you, there are also like 60 people online.
and there are 60 people online. Okay, that's it's always good to know. Okay, CB1 received notification of the shelter. And that notification letter was shared with, the board, it was shared publicly, and it was shared, we spoke with Christopher Marte's office and all of our elected offices, when we received it. Chris's office, if I, Max, correct me if I'm wrong, reached out to the schools directly because there's only so many people we can call at once. And I have had a couple conversations with the PTO. I did have a conversation on June 14th with Chris, who is our contact at DSS, and expressed our concerns that this is holistically, when you have an exit door to the school that is actively utilized, less than 25 feet from the front door of the safe haven, this is not particularly cited well. That we'd be very happy if that turned into a family shelter. We have incredible resources. I know that most, if not all of our elementary schools have migrant families in them, and large numbers of them, I might add. Well over 120 kids in Lower Manhattan alone. So I know that we are uniquely qualified with resources to help families. It's just one of the things that we're really good at in Lower Manhattan, and we have schools. So citing something like a family shelter would have been a no-brainer. The school, you're walking right there, we have nothing but children's playgrounds all around that area. So that was the conversation that we had.
Have you identified who they might put in that shelter?
It's a full safe haven run by Project Renewal. And Project Renewal.
Safe haven means?
I'm sorry.
Breaking
Breaking
ground.
ground. Sorry, my brain's fried.
Can you explain what safe haven means?
A safe haven is a shelter designed for adult men and adult women that are the most resistant to shelter life. They have the highest need, so they have very high medical needs, both, and mental health. So, whereas we are very open to having shelters in many, many places, location, like everything else in New York. We asked our council person to help us with this because I had no doubt that everybody was here tonight. The notification letter was incorrect. It says it's a first of its kind safe haven in our community. We have a safe haven that is due to open at 105 Washington. We were notified by email, I believe today, I have to look, if not, at least by confirmation by Paul, that it was supposed to open in June. It's delayed a bit. But it's an 84-bed shelter that is designed as a safe haven. We're actually supportive to trying to mitigate whatever needs they have to get that open and support them. We've done that for a very long time. It is not attached to a school. It is not 20 feet from the door that the kids are across from. That location is well cited on the history.
And the building that it's next door to is supportive, residents that are supportive of the shelter going there, so it's
And
totally different.
it's near mass transit.
Right.
It's in a different position than this particular hotel is. There's no mass transit, there's a bus stop in front, but that's it. It's not very.
But also, just to complete Jared's question, so they offer in the safe haven, they offer medical assist, they have physicians there, both physical and mental assistance.
And they usually have to have like a van or something that's parked in front, that contains different services as well.
And they're trying to get people to be self-sufficient and back into society.
This would mean not only do we have a shelter, another shelter of this type coming to CD1, where they said that we have none in CD1, but it would mean that we have two in Friday specifically.
Right.
So that's also problematic.
Greenwich South, Seaport,
You don't want to.
regardless, we know there's a huge need to serve homeless. But what our ask is, and what we've complained about and said times, is we have resources and abilities to be very supportive. There is need of all kinds in the city, of every type of shelter. It is a little disingenuous and concerning to us that it's only safe havens that are being rolled into the neighborhood. Correct. You're telling me that there are no families? So this is a discussion that we've had. We brought it to everybody and our elected officials for where we elevate to. And my biggest pet peeve about the notification is that, having been a past PTA president, PTAs do not operate from the last election for the most part, or the last day of school until the first day of school.
And we're not.
And we are all as well. DHS said, oh, well, we're planning to do engagement in July. And I
Yeah.
said, first of all, you can't do engagement in July because the PTA can't operate in July. The school is closed. The principal is retiring. The new assistant principal is starting. It seems like it's not
There's no one to engage.
it's not clear and transparent, and there's no real opportunity for engagement.
Hold
So
on,
that's-
Gordon,
hold on,
because
Gordon.
Brendan-
So this is everything that I can catch you up on that's happened on the community board side. It was shocking to get it in the middle of June, at the end of the last full week of school. If you are in anything outside of a fifth grade, all middle schools, there's regent weeks, and I mean, there were only 3 days of school the following week, and some of it is grievance. So I don't understand how one agency does not understand how the Department of Education works in New York City, or community boards, or anything like that. So we have a great amount of frustration, as I know the community does. And that's all I have to bring you up to.
For 105, we had engagement for 5 years.
Yeah.
Right, we started discussing 105 5 years. Right. This is not 5 minutes ago.
Well, I just want to say, to be clear, this committee and community board one are not opposed to shelters.
Right.
We've in fact asked specifically to put shelters in. We've given locations where we felt the shelter would fit. And we've asked for women's shelters, we've asked for children's shelters, we've asked for family shelters. Just so everybody's understanding. But this particular one, I think it's safe to say as of this moment, at least, we are opposed to the shelter.
Let me just list some more committee members. So
We have a vote.
right, yeah, Brendan, Morton, and Diane.
So I think you probably have answered this question. So this is the first we're hearing of this at all.
Yep. Morton.
I have one question and a comment.
What's the story with the proposed shelter on Beacon Street? Is that?
That's a great question, Martin. Here's a question that Pat, Mariama, myself, and Council Estes office. Touch point that we have. There has been zero information. The last call that we had with them was in Q1, where we had encouraged the RFP operator to come and present to the community. And we asked them questions and gave them information that they needed to be able to answer to come to a community meeting. They could not come to a community meeting and never came back. So we have had, when I tell you a black hole of zero information, I am told I have no information.
Well, refresh my memory, is that supposed to be a safe haven shelter?
No, it's supposed to be a single men shelter.
Oh, it's a different.
And we said to them at the time that we really would love to see a family and women's shelter across from the school.
Yeah, I recall that.
Right, and we've heard nothing.
Right, the commonality is across from school or adjacent.
Oh, very close.
Yeah.
To discussion went out, the structure of it, and we're talking about how it wasn't enough space, and the second structure of the building. I'm sorry, so there's no
Francis was
problem.
reminding us that the explanation they gave as to why it needs to specifically be a men's shelter.
Well, not just a single,
Or
it
a
could be a
single
family
person.
shelter. But then they said they didn't need a woman shelter,
Mhm.
they needed men's shelter.
And the second thing I would point out is the 105 Washington, they did a tremendous amount of community engagement.
Yeah.
They met with the community, they met with the PTA, they met with the community board and the principals of the schools.
We had 105 Washington. And they met with PS 150 before they moved down into that neighborhood.
I know
I
that,
mean,
because
years.
I was involved in it.
5 years of engagement, on and on. It was Diane and then Mimi.
Okay, I'm so confused now with the different shelters, because there was, now I don't remember which one, there was one that said, oh, they couldn't make it a family shelter because of.
That was
it
the big one.
That was the big one. So the and because I know there was one shelter that you were saying they wanted the people who were running it to come to the meeting. So the people who came to the meeting, that was in Washington Street.
Right.
So now this is
Has never come to a meeting.
okay, and now this is something new.
Yeah.
Okay.
Families just received this notification.
And they did ask me if we wanted the operator to come, and I said, no, we want the DHS and DSS to come because we believe that it's an improperly cited location. It doesn't have, it's not even a box around for people to live in.
Well,
But
and
is there,
Francis also brought up today that 250 is gonna start construction, have they been notified, I mean, not 250 Water Street. So,
Someone.
There's that, 250 Water Street beginning construction, that area of Pearl Street is just feet away from the entrance to the Brooklyn Bridge, the FDR Drive North, FDR Drive South, to go further down Pearl Street to get to, Seaport, Resiliency Project. Yeah, so there's gonna be tons of things, there's really no room for a van, of the type that they use. She had.
is there any reason why they couldn't have a family shelter, like a structural reason?
we haven't discussed
You
that.
haven't-
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We're in the dark. They need to do a presentation like 105, that, we've had many presentations and discussions. Mimi?
It's gonna be a Southbridge sandwich shelters, which I just feel like,
Well, they'll sandwich until something happens.
well, yeah, like there would be one here and then one
One over
like
there,
right
yeah.
here, which
But
it just doesn't,
we don't know anything.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it just doesn't seem like the best place to
So-
because they're.
And this one.
Yeah, because there's
Like I was mentioning, not just.
that would be right there and then.
What
this is
district,
right
but
here.
the specific neighborhood, the redundancy of shelter. No neighborhood anywhere should be overburdened with, these types of things.
Few blocks.
Well, there are many cities, I will tell you, that have a lot more, half a dozen within a 3-4.
And that's wrong.
And it has not worked out to the best of possible.
But
Possible. The only thing that we know so far, it's 106 beds. They anticipate fall 2024. This is all in the letter that was sent around. And it is dedicated towards 106 single adults experiencing homelessness, prioritizing placement for those who fall on hard times, and community giving an opportunity. Right. And it's breaking ground. That's all we know. The first conversation that we were able to have was, less than 2 weeks.
Breaking
So-
ground is the proposed operator.
Is the operator who filled out the RFP.
Also, they're not actually breaking ground, that's the difference. right?
The two board
Or are
members
they
around.
breaking-
Francis.
I'm curious as to how the residents are selected.
No. Well, we don't know anything. We can't, we're not gonna have, I suggest we not have a conversation about something we don't know anything about. Jared?
It's more of a comment than anything, you know. The need for this is desperate. There's no question about that, whether it's here, there, or otherwise. You know, anecdotally, see more people on the street now than I've had, at least personally, in a very, very long time. There's no question that there's the need. I guess where I take pause is there's a finite amount of money that the city has to address any issue that's before it. And I just question whether or not there are locations in the city where you can do more with that money, where the property value is less, or, you know, you can stretch that dollar
I mean,
further,
as
fund
much
more services to.
They're not, they didn't buy that building. It's a contract with the building owner.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's no different than when they contract with the building owner for the migrant shelters. It's a multi-year contract to provide service.
Well, but whether they're buying it or not, you know, it still has a value associated with it.
I mean, that might be true, but at the moment, we have no control of it.
And
No,
the value,
all I'm saying is, I would love to see them be able to factor that in these locations, because you can do more with the finite.
they cannot, because there's a fair analysis that
Got it.
every single community board is required to have shelters in it to share the load. So all the shelters do not end up in
That's
Well,
right.
low income areas.
Also,
Which is fine. We're not arguing. We don't live in a gated community. We live in New York City. We want to help the people who are on our local streets, right? But one of the things about 105 that was so amazing is it was guaranteed to serve a local need.
That's right.
This.
we haven't had a conversation,
Yeah.
so we haven't even made reports yet. We haven't had no dialogue.
So my question, just so we're all clear. We talked about 105 and they came 3-4 years ago.
I know.
Where is it now?
It's opening up, well, it's supposed to be opening.
It's gonna open now, they say late July, early August.
So just, yes. Just so
Well, we had,
every-
I mean, don't forget, we had COVID.
The
we had
pandemic.
COVID, yeah.
Pandemic.
But it's cute. I mean, we know who the people are.
Right, and we've had many conversations, and again, the building that abuts it, the wall abuts it, those residents are in favor of that shelter. And the operator has reached out to them, DSS
I
has
know,
reached
I
out to
remember,
them.
yeah.
Many conversations that have been had. I know there are still people in the community that are not happy about it, but we have had discussions, we've done our work, they've done their work, there's been communication.
And to be fair, a lot of the people that are not happy about it, still at this point, it's because of something similar that's happening now. We had all those conversations and then it was quiet for a long time. Then all of a sudden, people can see that they're about to open. It's like, well, why didn't you come back and talk to us again? So it's a similar case here. We're just receiving this notification out of nowhere. No one's talked to the community, nobody's talked to the community board. So that's not the way to do things. I mean, that's just, if you want buy-in from a community, no, it's not the way to do
Do we
things.
know anything about the proposed?
Hold it, Brendan had an answer.
I was just gonna say, Susan, you weren't at the last community board meeting, but they came to the last one, we talked about it for about 2 hours. 2 hours plus. To the point where I got somebody like you and.
You know,
Brendan, I'm proud of you. You know how grumpy I can be.
Not really.
Do we know anything about the proposed operator of this?
No,
No,
nothing.
we know nothing, okay?
We can't have a discussion about something we don't
We don't
know.
know.
That's why.
We don't know
Are you talking
anything.
about?
And that,
No, we're talking about.
All we know is this is what they want to do. So this is the information that Tammy just gave you, the information that's in this We have to do this, reso, it's all that.
What are we talking about?
We're gonna-
Yeah, right.
Oh, all right.
That's why we have the resolution.
Gotcha.
We need to focus about that.
Yeah, I kind like this zoning.
I'm
I
not-
have a question for Sid. And this is one of the things that we currently have hotels that are operated for migrant shelters,
Correct.
family shelters. We are told that that cannot happen for the homeless population, that homeless families cannot go into hotels. But my question
Because
is,
they don't have kitchens, is the explanation I was getting.
that's right, because they don't have kitchens. But they don't have kitchens for the migrant families either. So if it's an emergency situation for homelessness, and it's an emergency situation for migrant families, and you wait, so migrant families can temporarily be in a hotel, what's the difference? And I think that's something that the public should be able to know. If we're really trying to solve things and move things along, and we have people who are on the street, or families, we shouldn't be saying, well, I'm sorry, you can't stay in this hotel, but the migrant family can stay in this hotel. I'm not saying that people should share, I'm not saying that anything, but I think that we have to, in a city of yes, find a way to say, yeah. Families, hotels. And with that, I'm off my soapbox.
Did you just introduce yourself?
Kenny Grant, I'm a former CD1 board member, live at Southbridge Tower. My son goes to Peck Slip School. Sorry about my boss son.
Sorry.
This is incomprehensible. This is something, safe haven, it's being attached. And not feet away, not 22 feet, it's attached to where little ones are going to school every day. We all care as a community, and speaking, especially this community, people needing a home, needing a place to lay their head, a safe haven. But they're not, the city, and not doing their due diligence of where these things should be located. Is it contractual or contractor agreed? Places being obtained and put in certain locations, but this just doesn't make sense. And I want to stop it because it's the one we're here for today, 320 Pearl Street. And the little ones will be right there with the door going in and out. I stand there every morning, taking my son in, and these individuals, and no one's saying they're bad or problematic, but as we just mentioned, situations do come about, and those things that happen when these locations pop up in different communities. It's bound to happen, unfortunately. Not saying it shouldn't be anything, a family place, sure, possibly, that sounds good, we can work with that. But honestly, still no, because it's attached to an elementary school, shouldn't be attached to any school. The Beekman one doesn't make sense either. The Spruce School is right there, all male, I walk past these places, they're laid out on the street, they're bothering you, they're saying stuff to you. As I wouldn't send my wife, my daughter, or my kids pass by themselves. This just doesn't make sense. And I know we don't have the answers yet, we don't, but I hope some of the stuff from tonight, you guys can take notes from and hear us, and I believe and trust and truly believe in CB1. Because I've been a part of it. I know you guys work hard. Like I said, this is incomprehensible. Next little piece real quick, and to have a low barrier status. I mean, that this low barrier thing, it kind of lifts certain vetting process of what individuals come in. Will they be sex offenders? Will they be have harsh criminal records? With that low barrier, it doesn't matter. They can come in.
It does, actually.
Yeah.
Kenny, there is one thing, state law
Prohibits.
prohibits it, so there could not be sex offenders in that building.
Well, it prohibits one that hasn't completed their probation.
Correct. If it's somebody,
Nice.
you can still be on the list, but have.
If the
having
city
served
or state has decided that they can lift your restrictions,
a
then
resident-
you're eligible again.
Me throwing it out there real quick, sorry, Jerry, is that thinking of it being attached to this place, it should have the highest
Well, this is why we're, I mean, it's just not a good look. I mean, we can have sex offenders living next to us in an apartment next.
We have no idea, right?
And you don't, the reality is that it's not a good look.
And we do.
We do. Look, we said the same thing about the Beekman shelter. It's not a good look. And we really feel like they should cite it someplace.
And addicts.
In our community, but someplace.
Or at least serve some of the other. needs.
Right. Families, Sarah.
First of all, anybody who lives in a condo or not in a condo, everybody does a background check and we'll know if it's a sex offender and we'll know if it's a.
That's a condo. We have a lot of rentals.
But anyway, this question,
No.
Safe havens and the shelters, like, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, because there isn't as many restrictions. There's no curfews, there's nothing, opposed to a shelter where there is restrictions, yes, but
There's different kinds of shelters also.
There are
besides safe.
restrictions to every type of shelter.
okay.
Every shelter has rules and regs and security and things like that, but they're different. We're low barrier in safe havens, so there's no like overnight curfew. Because there's no, lockdown time that goes with that. But there are rules and regs. It's not just a revolving door.
It's not free for it. They have to know.
Who's liable, God forbid, somebody from the safe haven or shelter attacks someone, or somebody from the school, a kid. At that point is liable.
The city.
It's the thing, not the upgrade.
Yeah, they're not in control of, nobody's in control of anyone. If somebody living on the sidewalk attacks someone, if somebody living next door to you attacks someone else, they're not. And call the police.
In avocado.
As we know from the council, we call the police and they come.
Thank you.
I don't know, we'll go around the room.
Please say your name and where you're.
It's Rick Letizia. I'm from Southbridge House. All right, no problem. So, I want to echo everything he said, but I want to add one thing. I don't know if anybody's been in the school before. I was there today for my son's graduation. They walked up the steps. You know that there's a window on every floor that looks into this facility. Is that public information? Does everybody know that?
No, but
I have pictures of it where you could look right into the empty. Is that really where we want our children to be?
we're saying we don't, it depends on who lives there. I mean,
Yeah, but in this, for what's proposed, this is.
We agree with you.
It's
Not because of the windows, we agree.
It's inside the school. There's a student walks up the steps, they look out a window, they can look right. And it's.
Gentleman next to you.
Hi, yes, my name is Kevin Hainer from Southbridge Towers. And basically, I just wanted to make a quick point, and my point is that anyone who gets, screened and filtered into the safe haven is considered, to be on the safer side. But people who are not getting it, they might have something, mentally health.
I mean, people living on the street.
Yeah, so now they're back on the street. So this whole attraction next to this school, nobody wins.
But you're assuming that they're screened when they walk through the door. And you're assuming that the screen is, okay, I'm Joe Pugh, I see this, I walk in the door, I get screened, I'm not eligible to stay and I get sent back out. That's not
How it's safe.
how it works.
That's usually how it works, especially with the.
We're talking about safe haven, not a regular shelter where you stay overnight and you have to leave the next day. We're talking about you live at safe haven.
You sign a contract supposedly.
So these people have to go apply at another location that's run by Department of Social Services. They would be deemed eligible or not there, right? That's somebody there would determine what kind of shelter they belong in. If they felt that it was a safe haven, then they could send them to us.
And maybe CC Cole would like to say a little bit something since this was your area of expertise.
No, I mean, we've all said it. I mean, but I want to say one thing. Well, there are certain places, a safe haven is supposed to provide the services. They're supposed to monitor. There's real restrictions, but they have to do it, and we have to make them accountable. It's not as if it just happens in a vacuum. I mean, we have to make sure it happens, but I want to just remind everybody, as someone who developed shelters in her prior career, you can have a small refrigerator and a little hot plate for a family, and I'm not sure they don't do that in some of the hotels where the family.
allowed.
Okay, so don't give me all that other
That's
stuff.
what you're not. Wait, Desi's saying hot plates not allowed?
Not in most of the hotels. They go in and they confiscate them because they're fire hazards.
So there's.
Well,
So
they
they're not
used to
allowed
be.
to have hot
Yeah.
plates.
But
Coffee
still, as
makers,
Tammy said, we're
anything.
putting migrant families.
Coffee makers are in all of those hotels.
They take them out.
They take them out, not because they think they're gonna cause a problem, because they think they're gonna either sell them or do whatever. They should be, there's no reason not to allow them. There is.
It's not my role.
I
Not
know.
my role. I'm just saying, my
got
colleagues,
it.
my colleagues run them and, you know, if they make concessions for some, then they have to, and so they just say none. And people bring them in and they go in and they confiscate them. Little cafecitos, little, hot plates, little electric, even things that are just, you know, minimal. I don't want any of that in there.
I'm sorry, so are you clear now about?
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, it's just a that attraction. So basically, you know, you have to, apply to be there, but, where are you coming from? I would just, I would mostly guarantee that people that are homeless, are not from this neighborhood, not.
We asked first that the people from our neighborhood be housed first.
105 is supposed to specifically target lower Manhattan homeless on street. Lower Manhattan
They
being.
didn't lose their home in Norman.
Not necessarily.
If you're living on the street in lower Manhattan, that is your new home.
That's your,
I mean,
part of the community.
there's, for those of us in Battery Park City, I don't know if Kenny remembers, there was a couple who lived in Rockefeller Park. And they lived there for months.
Just for that one.
Did they lose their home in Lower Manhattan? No, but that's where they came and that's where they lived.
They're part of our community.
They're part of the community. And there's people that you used to see pre-COVID. There was people who would sit in Brookfield who were homeless. Who would get dressed up
3/9/11.
from every day and
I've been down there almost 50 years, and pre-9/11, hold on, I would walk at after 10 o'clock, they barricaded it off, lots of areas of the lower World Trade Center, and you'd walk through, and you'd see the same homeless people, and we're going back 23 years, you would see the same homeless people every night, they were part of the community, some of them we knew because we would give them money or give them food, so it doesn't matter where they lost their home. We ask that the people who are now residing on the street or the park in our community be the first ones that are interviewed to be eligible to be housed in some shelter.
The Downtown Alliance has helped over 100 people off the street in 2023 to find transitional housing. And that kind of, that's the Downtown Alliance catchment zone only. And that tells you something about the need that's down here. So would it be faster and better to get more homeless people off the street once that facility opens? That's the goal.
For a long time, there were people in camp under
Yeah,
the.
hold up, Morton. We would rather have people housed receiving mental and medical aid than have them living on our sidewalks. I mean,
But-
I'm sure most people feel that.
Right, but again, it's gotta be in the place where
It's.
they can thrive and it's not gonna,
Not 5 people.
they fit in.
Hi, my name is Jack Wong. I'm involved in a lawsuit against DHS, for the shelter. Because we have a oversaturation issue in Chinatown. There are a couple things I want to say. First is that, I think somebody mentioned the safe haven is for both single men or single women. But our experience in Chinatown is that it all end up for single men. It's not gonna be for single women, or gonna be for single men. And in 2022, one of the Chinatown residents is a woman who was stabbed 40 times by a homeless person who lived in a nearby shelter and died. And I'm sure some of you may be aware of that news. That's what's happening in Chinatown by having a lot of shelters. Shelters attract more homeless people, and shelters also attract people who want to take advantage of the homeless people by selling drugs to them or other activities. So that's the reality, what we experience. And then what I want to say is that also the fair share issue based on community board is also flawed, it's wrong. The reason is that if you look at Staten Island only has 3 community boards. How would that be fair to Manhattan and Bronx, where we have 12 community boards?
They should also have a jail.
As well. And also, don't forget, DHS do not count non-DHS shelters in the district, in your community districts. In Chinatown, it's at the corner of both CD 123. We get a lot of like both DHS shelters and a lot of non-DHS shelters that they don't count. That is a big problem. We don't want, I mean, I live in Southbridge. I don't want that problem to spread to this area. I just moved from Chinatown to this area 2 years ago, and I hate to say shelter closed. I also want to say.
Real estate.
I'm just so angry about that, and I also want to go back to the jail issue, because we have a jail in a nearby area, right? Think about it, when the inmates, or right now we call the persons who stay in the jail, when they get out of the jail, they don't have anywhere to go. The city does not plan a place for them to stay. Where are they gonna end up with? Our neighborhood. So no matter how many shelters you build, if this issue don't resolve, we're gonna keep having more and more homeless people in our districts. Because we have a jail.
And it's not just, it isn't just the jail. I mean, we have a lot of issues in New York that cause homelessness. It's not just the jail.
Just the jail, but I'm saying we are special because we have.
But Chinatown has like 6 jails. It really does.
We really do. Don't forget, if you look at the statistics, many people don't look at the statistics. DHS for Community 4-3, Community 4-3 receive a lot of non-district homeless people in their DHS shelters. They just simply bus them to the district. I don't know if CB1 has it, I do not study that. They simply bus the homeless people to our district. That is something not natural occurrence. I understand what Penny said about the people who just become homeless in our neighborhood. But they also purposely bus shelters into our district, our neighborhood.
You know, but the thing is, I agree with you on some of what you're saying, but the issue right now is the Pearl Street shelter. That's what we're discussing. Not the jail, not, you know, Staten Island.
So I understand you're opposing it, but I feel like these issues people need to be aware of, and specifically on the Pearl Street shelter. So they have to go through the mayor's office of contract services to approve this project, and they would have a public hearing date. So what DHS usually do is that they just keep prolonging this process. They don't interact with the community board, so that you miss that official public hearing days. We need to find out what is the public hearing date, because we didn't find out that information.
Well, that's
for
what we're
the-
trying to do, get a
for the
public
Freeman
hearing.
Street project.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Yes, yes. Desi.
I want to say it in an encapsulated way so that I'm not going on and on and on. But my concern is, like, we're doing a lot of deep dives on geography. And my hope is that people who are doing such deep dives on geography in terms of where homeless people are living, my hope is that they're also doing deep dives into the city's budget and where monies are going to address the issues and the determinants of health as to why people are homeless. We can take these homeless people and shuffle them around, borough to borough to borough to borough. It's not going to eliminate homelessness. And if we're not addressing issues of pay, ridiculous rent, medical issues,
bankrupt.
I mean, like, we could go on and on and on about why people are homeless, but I feel like if we're not addressing any of those determinants, then these are moot points, because it's like, we're sitting here saying, we don't want this sheltered here. And there's another community board in another part of the city saying, well, we don't want them here either.
But the reality is, let's keep this, we don't want to go on.
And I know, and I don't want to get really
But everyone in the
esoteric
room,
about it,
Let's
but
keep the conversation.
we could get into some lawsuits about like why nobody can afford to live anywhere in this city.
But let's keep it to the Pearl Street. Let Mariana. Okay, go.
Okay, my name is Catherine Apple. I'm a shareholder at Southbridge Towers. Thank you to the member in the white shirt who mentioned the Southbridge sandwich. I'm very concerned about that. Besides next to the school, etc. I'm concerned about code blue days.
I'm sorry.
Code blue days, which are days that are so cold that he just left everyone inside. Because then that circumvents all the screenings of people. Anyway, I'm also concerned with the safety sites. My understanding, you briefly mentioned is the trailers prior to being a shareholder at Southbridge. I lived in Little Italy, like 4 blocks away from Bowery, Michigan. And they have showers in front and all that stuff, and that's great. One, the bus stop is right directly in front of this building, so where are you gonna put the showers?
They have showers inside of the hotel rooms have showers.
Right, so that, but typically with these safe haven sites, there are the trailers in front of the building.
The medical.
There's nowhere to get medical, whatever it
Yeah,
may be.
we're
So let's say people need to queue up to go into there.
Let's
That
just
block
say.
is a play street. for the
Yeah,
school.
we're-
It's not them.
So let's just say that there's no place for that to be, because we already know. There's the church, there's parking, there's the hotel with the bus stop, and then it's the kids' play street.
Yeah.
And there's the bus stop. So we know that there is no place for a med van park. But what we don't know is whether or not this group will have med vans or they're gonna build out inside. So yes, that goes to inappropriate location, but that's an easily overcomable conversation if there's say, we'll do all the services inside.
Should be a family center.
I'm sorry, we're going around this way. You know what, hold on a second, you were missed, yes.
So my name's Frank Stato. I have 2 little ones at Bexley School, and I totally understand what's going on in the city and what we need. But my objection is specifically next to the school. I have bars in the city, not fancy bars. One's on 53rd, between 2nd and 3rd, and it's next door to a safe haven. And it has become almost impossible for me to run the business as a bar, and it's not fancy.
Why?
And I have 3, 4 guys hanging out on the stoop. They charge cover to get into my bar, which we don't charge cover. They mug people on the way out. They catcall, they sell dope.
What are the police doing?
Nothing, and that's why.
And you
I
call
want
them
to
over
speak.
and over and
We
over.
call the police constantly, they're overwhelmed. It's a thing.
And have you opened the dialogue with the operators of your?
Of course, they're overwhelmed. They just the security.
Yeah, who's the operator?
Who's the operator?
I totally forget about that.
Can you
Yeah.
get that information?
I will. And that's why I wanted to speak, because it's the fact that it's next door. If it was, listen, I can't open a bar, you guys know, 200 feet from it.
Yeah.
And to come back and say, look, we're gonna do this next to the school. And then a block away is a big deal.
We agree.
It's already
We agree.
a big deal.
Just
Helps
get
a
us the
lot.
operator.
Yeah, get us the operator.
Yeah.
Please.
I'm sorry, I don't want this to go on and on, but I want people to have a chance to talk, but if you're, we all are kind of on the same page, so just make it fast, go ahead.
Peter McSafford, well, we're all set, correctly, so what can we do? Action.
Well, we're
done.
gonna push
So
the
we're trying to email and say, oh, give us info that you're not gonna give us, and push this down our throats. What can we do?
I think Tammy also says that, I mean, yeah.
I'm gonna let Max take the.
Hi,
everyone, I'm Max Doy from Councilmember Chris Martin office. Here's Chris. So yeah, it's just budget this week, so there's just a budget meeting and he's in negotiation.
I will say he did offer to come, and I said Max was fine, so don't yell, this is my. Max is cool.
But yeah, I'll do my best to live up to him. But anyway, yeah. So in terms of how this all happened, right, we were given as little information as the community board. The council member received the same notice at the same time as the community board, right? And just because a lot of people email us like saying, oh, why are you doing this, right? This is not a council member decision. And so in terms of right, who to reach out to, it all comes from like the mayor's administration and DHS, DSS. And so, yeah, the council member is meeting with some people at City Hall this week to discuss this, some of the other shelter issues that we brought up, but specifically talk about this to figure out, right, one, how this happened, what the shelter is, right, to get some information, and yeah, what we can do to prevent a safe haven here, whether it's, right, a family shelter, no shelter, whatever that might be. Yeah, just to start that conversation with someone at City Hall. And so I think, yeah, well, we can figure out who the best email address is, the best email bank, share that with the community board. If you email our office, we can kind of share, right, yeah, who the best people to target are to kind of get a response from City Hall on this. Yeah, right to the mayor, but you know, other people too, just because the mayor.
To group letters to the mayor, but in the meantime, yes, we'll get, you know. But just know, I mean, we're not on opposite sides of the.
People complain
fence,
about,
so.
people complain
Next,
about.
in the orange shirt.
Adam Sinofsky, and just want to know, Max shared emails in the mayor's office, which we share with all our shareholders, so appreciate that. I'm just gonna not repeat anything, but, you know, with any bad news. Like I see there's a resolution, you know, one of the things, and I see representatives from our state government, and I actually talked to Councilmember Marte, who, I said, I would love to see a rule like 200,000 feet. You can't have a single men's shelter passed as its zoning regulation. Councilmember Marte said, well, it's up to the state. I know we have a representative from Senator Kavanaugh's office, I'm gonna put you on the spot, who is the chair of our housing, the New York State Housing Senate Committee. I would love to see legislation and our resolution calling for legislation to keep single men's shelter at least 1,000 feet from schools. Besides the president of Southbridge Towers, I also have a 2-year-old son who is zoned for Texas School, who I am worried about. We have to look for new schools and backdoor ways to find new schools. This is going to kill the school. Parents like me are going to look elsewhere, and it's going to kill funding groups. It's just the natural. We're going to try to get our way into Spruce Street, or who knows, maybe PS 150 because of the shelter at Beacon. Like we're going to be, or maybe we just move to the suburbs. Like, I mean, I hate to say it. I grew up in the suburbs. I want to raise my son in the city. The last thing I want to do is ship him up to the suburbs. Like, I want him to have a different, better, more cultural experience than what I did well. Now, Southbridge is, unfortunately, it's going to force Southbridge Towers, and we consider ourselves, I think, a lot of great neighbors here. We contribute a lot to the community board. Is going to force us to make some tough decisions that may degrade the integrity of the neighborhood. Like, for the first time ever, I'm actually considering, should we gate in our community? What?
You can't. You can't. I'm afraid you can't.
Certainly gate in our property, gate in our property, which right now it's open to the community.
Well, that's between you and all your shareholders.
No, but I'm just saying, the fact is, quite frankly, if Southbridge decides to close its gate in our properties, it is going to negatively affect the integrity of the school, because we're gonna have parents who used to cut through our property. It's going to have negative consequences.
I mean, I don't want to catch you up, but that's between you and your shareholders.
No, I'm just saying,
And
I'm just
it's-
saying,
and-
enforcing this
But
kind of.
that has nothing to do with helping people who are on the street, helping families who this would be a great spot for.
Oh, yeah.
That is a personal decision in the four walls of your house. It's kind of like it's like the construction. When you get a developer who builds a building, he doesn't care what's happening 2 doors down. He's building based on what he wants for his thing. We're trying to work on getting, we can't help you with those. That's your thing. What we're trying to do is get the right fit for the resources of the community.
Did I say something?
I mean, we would.
Everybody, hold on. Are you done?
Yeah, I was just saying,
Okay.
like, single men is just,
Yeah, great. More,
Yeah, this is what I want to say. You know, I think we have, the council member will be on our side, I think our state representatives will be on our side. Ultimately, the decider here is going to be the mayor, and the mayor's administration. But I think if all you folks want to make something happen, put pressure on the mayor. When people complain about the situation at the Burger King on Fulton Street. And by the way, I live in this community, I have a child in this community, and we have a homeless problem in this community, whether or not we have a shelter. I walk on Fulton Street, there's a guy who sits in front of the Taco Bell, harasses people who go down the street. There are people who sit in front of the Coalition for the Homeless by the CVS. I know this community, I live in this community, I have a child in this community in third grade. Doesn't go to Peck Slip School, but I'm very familiar with Peck Slip School, and I'm very familiar and sympathetic with the situation. But ultimately, the decider is here, is the mayor and his administration. So that's where, if you want to make political waves, that's where to invest your political capital.
And let's all get on the same page, that the reason that we're upset about this is because we know that we have resources in this community. And the fit would be better if it were a family shelter where children could use to go to the schools where we have empty seats. Or even a women's shelter. We're told they don't need women's shelters, they only need men's shelter. So what we're saying is that we would rather we want this shelter, if they're gonna make it a safe haven, we would like it located someplace that we feel is more appropriate. All right. Next person, yeah.
I don't have that much more to say, but.
Stand up and tell us who you are, please.
Hi, I'm Allison. I have 2 kids at Peck Slip. I guess what I want to say again, because I don't think it's getting like reiterated enough, is besides the entrance to the pre-K, which is really important, that street right there is the play street, where the kids have recess multiple times a day. It's not closed off. People can walk in and out. And I think that is a really big risk, and I think that needs to be talked about more. The other thing I wanted to say is, I would welcome a family shelter. But I think we had like 75 migrant children enter our school, and the whole community of Peck Slip came together. I mean, we opened a store of donations, and we embraced them with open arms, and we really helped them get situated. You know how to do that. This other type of shelter really isn't safe for. It's not appropriate. It's not appropriate. So I'm not saying no shelter, I'm just saying no way to men's.
And I'm just gonna say that I find it refreshing, right? It's something that we don't talk about often enough. The media is always very much like, oh, they're all arguing about not in my backyard. But our schools and our community, we have over 120 migrant family children in our community that the families who live here have all embraced and helped. We know how to help people in need. You just gotta put the people who need the resources we have.
Excellent. Yes. Well, I'm sorry, let the gentleman go because we'll keep going this way. Go ahead. Stand up, please, a little louder. I'm old, I can't hear.
Victoria, I'm just wondering, when we talk about family shelter, what does that mean? As distinct from like the.
Well, it could be a single parent with children. I mean, we're talking about children who would go to the schools in our community, so we're probably talking about kids that, up to high school age. It could be 2 parents and children, or one single parent and children.
Meaning you are admitted if you have children.
Yes, it would be a family, yes. Yeah, you're not a family, sorry, you don't have any, I mean, you're a couple. You're not a family unless you have kids, Can we get Mitch and then?
So I was just reading the, therefore be it resolved about recommending to postpone.
Can you wait until we get to the reso? Just let people finish and then we'll get to the reso.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. Next, let's make it 1 minute each. Next, we're going in order. Stand up, please, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Melissa. I just wanted to mention most of the points I was gonna mention have already been raised. I wanted to kind of reiterate what Tim said, which is that, presumably there's some sort of legislative reason why you can't sell liquor within 200 feet. You can't sell cannabis within 500 feet. So, it just seems surprising that you can open low barrier shelter attached to the school. It's really 5 feet from the school. I also wanted to mention that we need to funding issue. We have one safety agent, for the whole school who, does her best to monitor everything, but obviously almost every day she has to really be on alert, and check to see if anyone's going to enter. So I just don't think that we have the infrastructure we need to.
We agree. Thank you. Next.
Hi, I'm Jen Chen. I'm from Southbridge. I also have some.
We met James earlier. Hi, James.
To ask, thank you for all agree with this point, but I want to ask this, how we can put pressure? What else?
I'm sorry, just a little bit louder.
What else can we do to put pressure on the mayor? Is the petition?
At this point, write the letters. We're going to, Councilman Marte will let us know what else we can do. At the moment tonight, that's what we can do.
And pass some.
So to speak my one, they started a petition. Do you think that's gonna help?
I mean, I can't say will or won't, but if we have to do it.
Everything helps.
Everything helps.
Nothing hinders like this. It helps.
In the old days, what we would do with the PTAs is inundate them with mail. We do postcard campaigns or letter campaigns, because they have to open everything and report it, right? They gotta stamp it, they gotta show that they received it, and you send them 10,000 letters, it pisses them off and they do something.
Requirement, because if you're doing a postcard campaign or letter, they are actually required to document all of it.
Yes.
And the load that puts on the
So good
city.
idea.
From the
It's
class,
not
a
us.
teacher project like we had, when we had a group of
Schools
students.
are closed right now.
Okay.
Okay, so
Never
thank you.
mind.
You concurred. James, you had anything you want to say?
I am in Texas and I had that home myself problem before. At least I don't have many years at this school. Yeah, they start to be.
When you be leaving that school, how much longer do you have at Kent?
Damage to like safety problems and it was.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, James. James is that?
Madison Green, we've been in Southbridge since 2017. We moved here specifically for the proximity to the school and the neighborhood that we're in. Great neighbors, like you said, my son is in class with migrants. He's learning a lot from them. It's a really integrated neighborhood. And what we'd like to see more is the family shelter, because that's what we support. The problem with the low barrier to entry is that it creates the issues that happen on the street that the neighbors talk about. They might not, like, you might not hear about the things, like emails circulate that, oh, my wife just got punched by a homeless person walking down the street, and that's in our neighborhood. And that's the kind of things that we want to try to avoid by speaking out and coming to the meeting. To be honest, it's the first board meeting I've attended.
Say,
Thank you.
and a lot of issues that, more issues than the shelter.
I'm thankful for you all for participating and all the things you're doing across the board. And,
Become a public member.
And-
Youth and education.
and that's why we brought our son, so he can learn more. Because
Also, you know, if you're circulating, not you, but if your community is circulating emails that someone has been attacked, I hope they are calling the precinct and getting, and 311,
Yeah.
getting complaint numbers, because the more noise you make about something, the more possibilities of having it resolved.
we do.
If you, if that happens,
Documented noise.
then nobody knows
It has to
about
be
it.
documented
Nothing happens.
noise.
Thank you, JP.
Thanks.
Quickly, my name is Coco at Southbridge, and on that, more noise, can we get media involved? Get
If you
some-
can, get them. Go for New York.
Do
Monday.
whatever.
Get whatever. Yeah, I mean, the community board can't do it all, so we rely on, we're here to represent you, and we rely on you guys to tell us what you need. I mean, remember, we all live, people on the community board live in the community.
Strong case to bring up.
So, try, see what you can. Would you want to say something?
I'm Deb Southbridge, and I'm concerned about what kind of security did they?
We don't know.
We don't know what.
Oh, 105, we have 7 security guards, there's a whole big meeting about it.
No,
Police have nothing to do with it, security.
No,
No. You don't know. There might be retired policemen. My dad was a cop, and when he retired, he did security. Yeah, but, yeah. Yeah, but we're not worried about 105 at the moment, we're worried about
I was wondering,
her.
the state provide money for protection.
No. I mean, you know, the city provides the shelter, and the shelter provides the security.
Money if they're gonna.
Yeah, but it's, you know, it's like security guards are hired by the operator of the shelter. And then if there's something outside of the shelter, I mean, they patrol the immediate outside, but they can't go wandering around the neighborhood. That's for our police. And also, remember, we have our, Sarah's here, who is president of the First Precinct Council. Remember, if you have issues, you can contact Sarah, you can contact the police.
Also on the.
But, you know, and try to get a police officer here every other meeting so that you can tell him what's going on in our community if you have issues. So just read our agenda and, try to
I
attend our
wanted
meetings.
to say something as a Southbridge resident too, more so than as a co-chair of the committee or a board member. I received whatever was going around from somewhere at Southbridge. And I just, I was like, I don't know who I'm replying to, but I replied to all, whoever that was, that, I want to work on affordable housing, right? In the neighborhood. We have homes, right, that they call apartments, so it might be all settled, but in terms of part of the resolution to the homelessness crisis is we need affordable housing. And I knew everybody could get on board. So one of the things I think we can do at Southbridge is maybe get that, whatever that email chain is, more organized so that we do know who the people are that we're talking to, and then we can have like a, real dialogue and impact of each other. But again, I would emphasize that also everybody, the name of the operator is supposed to be this Breaking Ground place. I would suggest that you Google Breaking Ground, right? And look at the types of shelters that they run already. And look at what the requirements are in those shelters. And that's going to tell you what you can expect to come across the street, right? Because they haven't come yet. We can still begin to look into exactly what we can expect there and how we should be responding from now.
Called Breaking Ground, and their website is breakingground.org. And you're looking for their safe haven location.
Right, look up their other safe haven locations and see what the requirements are, what the eligibility is. And then we should know what we.
Okay, it's 8:00. We are going to have 1 minute. We have some people online. If it has been said already, please do not say it again. You can just say, I agree with everything that's been said. Desi, go, and then we're gonna take people
I
online.
would just say quickly, I think news and media is very effective for getting the word out and for getting the steam behind what you're, pushing for. I would just ask that you be really judicious about what news outlets you're looking to bring into, illuminate this issue, because the last thing we need are not reputable, I'll say that, not reputable news sources shuttling in like racist, disgusting, yeah. And I think it could really, derail what we're trying to do, which is really, think about having a benevolent attitude about who can be in this community in terms of the shelter. We want to be able to serve families and we want to serve people, but we don't want to have another issue on our hands where we're trying to combat.
We're portrayed in a bad way.
Ridiculousness.
Thank you, Desi. Francis, and then we're going to the people online.
This is great. I'm glad to see so many of my neighbors at Southbridge, the whole community. This is important. It's important that you get involved. I just want to take it a step further and that point you in the direction of this new process that's going on in the city or the city of Yes.
Yes.
And the next phase is housing. And Chris Monte is having a Zoom meeting on July 1st. When they presented it to me in the community board, I was overwhelmed. It's information that it's information that you need to know in terms of your community, because it's getting ready to change. And that's the first step in terms of, if you want to make any of this happen, it would be nice to know what they're planning down the road. So I would suggest that people follow up on that. It's on July 1st.
Yeah, we can share the information with the community board to send it out. It's, next Monday at 6:30 PM on Zoom. So, open time.
Is it on your, Councilman Marte's website?
If you sign up for our newsletter, I think we sent it out today. From our newsletter.
Yes.
And if you're not, we'll share with the community board.
Okay, so next Monday. Okay, Jason.
I just wanted to say to keep up the work, to keep coming to the meetings because it makes a difference. And thanks for showing up. I haven't seen so many people in a meeting in many years. So thank you.
Thanks, okay, again, we're gonna open it up to all people online. Please, if it's been said, you can just say yes, ditto, I agree. All right, everybody's, who's first? It's Wendy? Wendy, unmute, please. Wendy? Her last name? Okay, wait, you don't-
Wendy Cassidy. I live in Southbridge Towers. Our child used to go to Peck Slip, and I was shocked to find out how close the door was. And I feel like the city of Yes is crazy and that it's more about big business than anything.
You bet. You bet.
Thank you, Wendy.
Thank you.
Ryan? Ryan Fisher?
For those of us who remember the other game.
Who is that? Christina? Is that Christina? I think so. McLeod? No, we're gonna call, yes?
I just want to echo to everything that's been said. And also, I just want to give some kudos to the children at Peck Slip. I mentioned to my fourth grader about why I'm on this call tonight, and I told her it's because of a shelter, a men's shelter. The first thing out of her mouth was, it should be a family shelter. So that's a testament to the work that Peck Slip has done this year in accepting the migrant families, and that's what I have to say.
Good community, you're raising a good community member, thank you. Who else? Lauren? No. Lauren Lou? Lau? Oh, Karen, I'm sorry, it's Karen. Karen? Karen? No? Okay, hold on. Joe, go ahead.
One other thing, people of Southbridge, speak to your neighbors. Tell them what you heard here tonight, and they're always welcome to come to our meetings, committee or full board. But talk to your neighbors and get the word out. We're
Joe,
trying to help.
Joe, how many years have you been on the community board?
I represent.
Joe has been on the community board for 50 years. Imagine when he has helped to get done in this community. Okay? So, thank you, Joe, for your service. Who's next?
Thank you, Joe.
Joseph Yang? Joseph?
I live in Southbridge. I have many questions, but I'll keep it short. Ask one question. To just think about it, did migrants and homeless ask to be in this community, or are we building a community for them to come?
I'm not sure I understand that. No, I mean, no one has to be in this community.
They didn't ask to be homeless.
So the more that we build, the more they will come.
Well, we're not quite Field of Dreams, but yeah. I mean, we have homeless people that already live in this community on the streets with no
They
shelter.
know about, because there was a lot of shelters that was around. That's why they're all here.
No, sorry.
People
No,
live
incorrect
in the
information,
drive or not
Joseph. But thank you for your contribution. All right, what are we on?
Thanks,
Rob Harper?
Anybody who speaks.
That was said. And I do agree with what Joseph is saying to a degree, and we do have to look at that. The more we build, the more we open, they will come if we don't push back. So we need to find out the genesis of this, why we want made aware of all of the ins and the outs, and we've got to push back, plain and simple. Thank you.
Thanks, well, who's next? Eugene G. Eugene? Okay, next. Do I see Nancy? Anthony? Yes, Anthony?
Hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. So I'm in the community. I have two kids that are not yet
school age, but they will be very soon. I actually live in the building that's just on the opposite side of the proposed shelter, in 324 Pearl Street. So we also have shared terraces with 320. So that's another, I recognize that that's just a concern for my single building, but it is a concern. I would also like to know if there's anything that the community board can do to try to bring Breaking Ground and Slate Capital, the developer, and anyone else who's behind these decisions in the development to some sort of meeting or a forum similar to the one that we're having tonight. Okay, great.
That's what we're trying to do.
Hold on, Anthony, can you do me a favor, please? We have not heard that there was a building that had shared terraces together. So if you would send us that note officially from the board, we're happy to forward that to council member and bring that up in our discussions, because that's not been told to us. And yes, please stay tuned, because we are going to eventually have DHS with the operator come together.
Right. So would you send us a photograph? Can you send us a photo? That would be better.
Sure. Where do I send it to? Just email it to.
You're going to send it to
Man01, our community board email, and you can address it to Pat and I.
Open window. Pat and Tammy.
Pat and Tammy, it's man01@cb.nyc.gov.
Okay, I'll send pictures tomorrow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, bye.
This is Barbara Lerner. Is that your Barbara? Hello, Barbara. Barbara, are you there?
I'm Barbara Lerner from Southbridge. One of the things Southbridge has never been that good at is getting the vote out. And that's the one thing that politicians recognize. We have an election tomorrow. We have an opportunity to get out and show that Southbridge has electoral power and that our voice should be listened to because our votes count. Thank you.
Appreciate. Exactly. Thanks, Barbara. Joe will be home soon.
Okay.
Another 50 years.
Now Karen? Loud?
Hello?
Hi, Karen.
Hello? Hello?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you guys. Can you guys hear me?
You sure can.
Yes, we can.
All right. Hi, I'm Karen. I live over in 324 Coral Street, which is right next door to the proposed shelter. I'm a college age student and I've been living in single. And so bringing in an only male shelter raises a lot of attention and awareness to people in the area who are also single women living alone, who I had neighbors get followed into this building, and that it has bring so much danger, and that we've had instances before where people break in, steal packages, as well as break into our stairwells, in addition to a myriad of things. But if it is a very clear consensus within the group that specifically the issue being an only male shelter, is there a way to create a protest when they start constructing, or supposedly they're starting?
We're trying to get a meeting, we're trying to discuss it. So I hope you were online the whole time and you heard some of the things that are going to be done, like your mayor, talk to the fellow residents in the building. We just had a gentleman from your building call in about the shared terraces. So get together, write letters to the mayor, contact Councilman Marte's office, and stay tuned for further developments, okay?
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Oh, thanks, Karen.
Again, I live in Southbridge and I face that.
MAN01, as in Manhattan. Yep. MAN01 at cb.nyc.gov.
It's also on the city.
It's on the city.
It's also on the website.
I can review that if I can take a picture.
Great. Mimi,
Motion to talk about the.
can I just get through the last couple of people? All right, all right. All right, so whoever else is left, we have one more. Oh, we have one more person.
And I just, all right, let's do it.
Who's the last person? Rosemary, you're the last person on the line. Go for it, Rosemary. Rosemary?
Hello?
There she is. She's on.
You hear me? Hello?
Can hear you.
You can?
Yes.
Okay. Rosemary Ferrara, Southbridge Towers. And I read online that the Pearl Street location was purchased by the Slate Group for $24 million. So what I see happening in my neighborhood, because they do mention that they want to expand their portfolio in the FIDI district. So this is an easy fix for the mayor because he washes his hands, and all these developers, they're guaranteed 100% occupancy without any effort on their part except purchasing all the vacant space. My concern is Lower Manhattan is definitely underpopulated compared to the rest of the city. And we have lots of vacant space. So I see greedy developers seeing a quick, easy way to make a buck, fill the shelters with taxpayer dollars, and the mayor washes his hands of the problem. And I'm very worried about that. It's very alarming. And that's what I
Thank
think.
you. Okay, we are going to, the question has been called. Did everyone read?
Yes.
On the,
Yes.
okay, so a couple of things. The second whereas from the bottom. DSS, DHS has not provided significant public notification, and they have not provided a presentation for this facility as it, you see what I wrote, and a presentation.
Right.
As it is directly abuts, it should be as it directly abuts a public elementary school. Then the next whereas, public schools and the PTA and CV1 will be on break for the summer and
I'd like to spec.
some of the
that out.
elections, right?
I'd like to spec that out that says, because the PTA only operates during the school year.
Are you ready? No, can you write something? Yeah, can you? You can write faster than I can, or type faster than I can. Or you have it written something.
I'm just looking at it.
And we have to record it.
So I think that we should really denote that CD1 is closed in August. We already have calendared for a different topic for them for July. And
Schools are closed.
schools are closed.
Schools ed.
Schools and PTAs are closed. And so they cannot do engagement with the neighboring community, the adjacent community, until after September, what's the date?
After Labor Day.
It's not after Labor Day. Do you guys know when the first day of school is? September 5th.
It's the Thursday after Labor Day.
Not until after September 5th.
Yeah, September 5th.
And it's Labor Day.
September 3rd. Yeah.
Late a year, isn't it usually in?
Okay, did everybody get that? Mitch?
Yes, so I think we're all in agreement with this, and I was gonna go to, but that will be resolved. Like I said, we seem to all be in agreement with that. I was just wondering, you know, the wonderful comments that you made where we prefer to have the family shelter and everything like that. Are you strategically only saying, for strategic reasons, that we want you to postpone, you know, with, you know, for these reasons, as opposed to also putting, while we oppose the safe haven single men's shelter, we want.
Let me stop.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Better to do it this way first.
I think we should just do it, keep it simple, stupid.
Then I'm good, I just wanted to know that, I'm
Okay.
good with that.
Okay. Derek?
My only comment would be, I think we should add a statement that boils down to what it is we want, which is greater transparency, communication.
Well, we're asking for a presentation and a discussion.
Right, but I guess what I'm getting at is,
Plan to move forward in any way, shape, or form.
right, well, I guess what I'm getting at is, I don't think they necessarily want this engagement. So I think it would be helpful if we specified
Because
exactly.
they're obligated to give us.
Do we want to like, strengthen up the language?
I think I'm not disagreeing yet, I'm not disagreeing yet, Jill.
Just, make it a little stronger. This
Which
is just
way, where?
us just starting with, we work, with Steve, you know, about, you know, insufficient or extraordinarily insufficient. You know, I know we don't like adjectives too much, but I think I want to hit them over the head with the first whereas. Extraordinary is not a good word, but something insufficient.
Insufficient notice or insufficient time, it's about time.
Well, it's time and notice.
Oh, time and notice.
Transparency.
Was tight, who's writing, anybody?
I think Charlotte is.
Okay.
Charlotte, do you know where that is?
Insufficient.
No, okay, tell me where it is.
Yeah, but for verbiage.
Did everybody get that?
Yeah.
Insufficient time to notice?
Then
What's the name of
the
it?
second whereas, the notification, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, a word that's like the insufficient, not sufficient, but the
Inadequate.
that's the word, the inadequate, because it didn't give enough information. So if we put in another little kind of adjective,
Untimely and inadequate notice.
right,
Inadequate.
provided, you know, incomplete and inadequate
Well,
information.
that's better, it provided.
Incomplete and,
Incorrect.
Is it incorrect or not?
It is not for first safe haven. We have anything.
okay.
Oh, okay, but nowhere here does it say it's our first.
It's not.
Where does it say?
They
first?
say.
Or
Yeah,
letter
no,
of
it's
street
not.
child.
The letter
Right
is
here, it
that.
doesn't say anything about it being
What I would like to put is that the notification is factually incorrect.
Yes.
Put it in there.
So it's
Stating that this is the first.
We don't have to say that. We don't have to put a letter.
That could be a word.
okay, so let's say the,
Remember, tomorrow night is the.
That's why we're.
We wanna make sure.
Yes, Charlotte, you're
I'll
just
say-
saying that it's-
I just want to a little
Strong.
strength.
Not,
No,
Why?
no, because anyone else who has anything else they want to add, track?
See, that's why I called the question.
yeah, but we gotta get,
No, no.
we only have one chance to get it right, to get everything in tomorrow.
Should I continue or just? I thought I
I like it.
I mean, I'm thinking out loud because I just saw
To be
that.
recognized by the chair before.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Okay, so,
Brendan, sorry.
And that's the same.
this, provided inadequate, we need another word for inadequate,
Insufficient.
another word.
Insufficient.
To the next whereas.
Wait,
I
which
did
one?
not-
THS?
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
state did not provide sufficient background information, the service provider other than the name, no? Or did not provide an opportunity to meet, I guess we say that, to meet. That's it then.
Did not engage in
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Yeah, I like that, it's not,
What was it?
Did not engage in the community whatsoever.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Jill and I worked on
That's
that.
not exactly.
Second time this has happened
I
where
think you got it good, man.
they didn't give us a good
Well,
amount.
this week when they gave us time, we just didn't agree. And they haven't come back. They had, and then the community.
I think we're talking about during the pandemic when that thing popped up.
So, and that's and this minimal insufficient notice has already, no,
Nah,
never mind.
no. Brendan.
Question.
Second.
All right.
Oh, I can't.
How about CD1?
Paul, seconded. All right,
Thank
so
you.
we have enough. We have enough.
So, Charlotte,
Bring it up to
are
me.
you making your notes, you know, the doc? No. You should be.
Okay, and then we can also.
And, okay, so here's what I have from, and Charlotte's gonna read anything that I haven't put in. Changes, the notification was factually incorrect, as this would not be the first safe haven in MCP one, although stated as it would be. I'll just say, notification was factually incorrect, and this is not the first safe haven.
Okay. She looking at one where by itself and it's not.
Yep, the first safe haven and MCB one.
Good.
This is gonna be for
The
tomorrow
fun-
night.
Yeah.
That's why we've got to do it.
Right.
Charlotte, what else do you have on your notes?
Something about school starting September fifth.
Okay, okay, so then that'll be a therefore further resolve. So I have CB1 strongly
Sorry.
demands that DSS postpone the anticipated fall 2024 opening, give sufficient time for public input during the regular 2024-25 school year. CB1. Demands on the, and that a public engagement is held after the first PTA meeting of Peckslip School.
How do you know from the PTA?
It's calendared, they have a little requirement to have it on there, which will give the school enough time to actually talk to there and allow engagement.
You want to say present,
So let's say like first
Reasonable opportunity following demands of the public engagement. Session is held after the first PTA meeting of Peckslip School. In September. Or kids. Okay, do we need to say anything about, the windows? Or do we need to say anything about changing this to a family shelter at this point?
I think we should do that in a later presentation.
I think we need to say something about the windows, Tammy, and that the building abuts the school.
I agree with Pat on doing it piecemeal, like, so not to have them reject even a meeting.
Yeah, but I just think they haven't told us anything, so we are functioning not knowing it.
They want to say, whereas we question the siting of this location.
But yeah.
Yes.
But Tammy said,
And have requested that it come back.
A better word there, it'll be more than questioning,
Tammy, if
I
you say,
can- we can say disagree.
I disagree
I
with
want to
you.
reiterate my previous statement about getting to the heart of it, which is the lack of transparency creates distrust. And that is what we urge, transparency.
But do we need to say that?
It's called question and say.
Okay, but do you want to,
I just-
I can say that at the meeting with them, you know, that.
So we should be
Well,
voting.
You know.
We will vote with them.
This is the.
We're done.
Yeah.
But this process right now is that the board chair wanted to review what we have written down before we move on. So that's what's happening.
You have to know what you're voting on. So I'm going through all seven.
Yeah.
Charlotte, what other notes do you have that were in there? Got that?
sorry,
Changing the phrasing of insufficient private notice, inadequate information, incomplete information, and along those lines.
I think we said that.
Tammy,
Somebody on, yes, Jason?
that's Jason, to you, on the matter of the insufficient notice, can you note that, the timing is, questionable with the fact that it's June and school ends at the end of June? Okay.
We said the school's closed, PTA's shut down, and we don't function in August. Okay, so everybody has a pretty clear idea on what we're voting
So
on?
let's read what she has. To make sure.
And then not provide school background or.
I think that.
So I think we've got everything right.
Can you
So,
read the last there for being some?
first, therefore, be it resolved, CB1 demands that DSS postpone the anticipated fall 2024 opening to give sufficient time for public input during the regular 2024 to 2025 school year. Furthermore, CB1 demands the public engagement session is held after the first PTA meeting that affects the school meeting to allow for transparency and engagement of the adjacent community. And then what was the last one, Charlotte?
What, so we have that CB strongly?
I think unless you say somewhere, you're not saying why it's important about the school year, for a site located 5 feet from an elementary,
Yes.
middle school.
I don't.
But why does the school year matter?
I'm gonna put, I'll put it,
No, engagement for the, oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
no, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
That makes
because
sense.
of the location.
Yes.
Right. The school has to be involved.
I mean, we could say your thought is disregard, but what's the point?
Okay.
I can put that in the whereas, the building is adjacent to, yes.
It's not adjacent, Tammy. It abuts the school building. It's not adjacent. It abuts the school building.
Okay, the other thing is, everybody,
I know.
tomorrow night at the full board meeting, if you want to make friendly amendments, you can, so we can change it. So can we vote on it?
But
Yes.
it's the therefore be it resolved just that we're asking for this meeting. I think we should say in this current iteration, we oppose it, therefore be it resolved.
I think we said it's wrong on the process.
We should postpone. We say postpone, I think strongly oppose.
Strongly oppose the location.
Absolutely,
In this, yeah.
absolutely.
How about demand?
No, that.
Those who want to make a friendly amendment tomorrow night, write it out beforehand and give it to the secretary.
Good, I think, good, good.
Lot
suggestion.
easier.
Yeah,
Okay, can we vote?
Yes.
I think we can vote, and then if there's any little change, any tweak that we do tonight, we'll see it. Okay, so basically, everybody's got the gist of it?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so committee members, all of those in favor?
Not a community member.
Not to do the vote.
We don't get to vote.
All right, so it's 1, 2, 3.
After 50 years, you should have
I am.
You're not, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we have 8 in favor.
And a public member.
Okay, hold on, we gotta get who's in favor. So, we had Morton and Mitchell
Yes.
and Desi and Jill. Okay, Morton.
She's checking it out.
I know. Morton.
Yeah.
But you wanna do, he's on the committee now, so yeah, I'll put his name on there, right, we'll put him on there. Okay, so.
Somebody's on the switch from,
Parks. And me, Mary Ellen,
Parks is like, you know.
and Jill.
Sure.
And.
I know, it's not as much excitement.
That's what's big. Okay, all of those opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? And Jared.
We have anybody on my phone?
Is Jason on the committee?
No, I'm not on this committee.
And did we get the public members on that?
Yes.
You said yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Okay. You're gonna talk to us about screen and green? Talk about screen and green, you know? Yes? Okay.
Alan, can you compile your? Yeah. And just so you know, for this, the last, resolution
Cannabis.
for cannabis should be, can we just take a super quick vote now? It's a withdrawal, so, but we have to do a resolution to ensure that they're
Yes.
withdrawn. Call the question.
Second.
Second. All right. This is for the cannabis one, just to make sure we have a full vote on that.
Okay. Good. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you for coming.
Okay, so the cannabis, we're gonna do, I'm sorry, again, who's,
It's a vote in favor of, you just have to know that they withdrew and you have to vote.
We have
to say, yeah, we don't want to do their.
Yeah, we have to be-
okay, so all in favor of this, which is opposed to them, please put your hand up. Is everybody- There's no one that isn't, so everybody who's here is.
Wait, but I understand this one is the case they want to go over to.
I do it then, they have to come back, and we will be whole thing.
Yeah, 30 minutes. And it's not gonna come along with our county, but everything. It's at HUD, and Dan Bowman from working at the county did it. Yeah, so he's not here, that's it. So.
I'm on
what-
the executive committee.
Jill,
I
do you
can't
want
vote on
to
that.
have a vote on this other thing before?
What's the other?
Oh, the LMDC? A vote to support, yeah, continued pursuit of the remaining $30 million.
Yes.
And that's being contributed to the Five World Trade
Is it a
Center.
red zone?
Yes.
Well, maybe some group of people. Okay, so number 2 is becoming a red zone?
Yeah, it was a possible red zone. Now.
Okay, so what is our red zone?
That the money should be used to increase the number of affordable units. This was money that was specifically allotted by HUD for affordability to the LMDC, which never applied to affordable
How
housing.
much money?
$30 million.
Yes.
Okay, will you write up something fast?
Yeah.
Okay, does everybody understand what we
Yes.
just
The
discussed?
board of yes.
Lower
Lower Manhattan Declaration was created the year after 9/11 to bring in and given $40 billion to restore Lower Manhattan, with a portion of that and a part of their original mandate being to create affordable housing in the area that they never created. And now we've created or helped to create Five World Trade Center that is going to be 400 affordable units in there. So we want the remaining $30 million before the LMDC closes to come from HUD and go to Five World Trade.
A real affordable.
Does everybody
not,
Everybody get it?
Affordable unit.
How do we know that money is there and unused?
Because, they told us and LMDC showed us and it's been proven to us. And we've met with HUD. The people from Five World Trade Center
Yeah.
have met with HUD. So there's no issue that this $30 million is still sitting in LMDC's bank account.
And we have our representative from our state elected office who is not.
Yes.
Has been confirmed.
Okay, so quickly, because we have a
Yes.
discussion. Everyone understand?
I know more.
Understand? Okay, so all committee members who are in favor of this?
Yes.
So that we're gonna write about the money being.
Do we need proper question and second?
Second, I think she just called.
Right. So, all in favor, everybody who's here, that's a member, everybody. Okay, thank you. No opposed, no. Okay. All right, so now we're on to the last item, which is Dree and Screen. And who's on?
Wonderful. We have very cool.
Yeah. Holly?
Hello.
Explain just briefly. Dree and
Can you hear me?
Screen. Yes.
Yes.
I hear ya.
Hi. Wait, let me see. If you're able to hear me, hi everyone. I'm Callie Chu. I am the Housing Committee Director for Senator Brian Kavanaugh. Yeah, so I am. I know there's interest from the board to kind of know more about specifically this bill that Senator Kavanaugh has. So, is it helpful if I just sort of go through? It's not a complicated bill. I can go through what the bill is about, and then maybe if you have any questions, I can try to answer those.
Okay, but you have to go through what the bill is
Just
about.
tell us about Dree and Screen.
And this is to increase the cap, correct?
That's it.
And
What is what the cap is going to be?
right, and when the vote is.
And how we can handle it. And push it.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so the bill itself, it's S2960A. And there is a assembly counterpart that is carried by Assemblymember Glick. It's A5741A. So, and just a heads up, these numbers are going to change next year because the new legislative cycle starts. We're going to reintroduce the bills. But essentially, the intent is for us to keep this bill going. It may have a new number, but we're still going to push for this. This bill, in its current form, it does two things. One is.
I'm so sorry. I'm so, can I just interrupt you for 1 second before you? If the bill's not gonna be voted on, if it's gonna change dramatically, or if the number, the cap is gonna go up,
The bill number is gonna change. So right now is S2960. It's gonna get a new number. Yeah, the bill number. Yeah. So the bill right now, it does two things. One is it will index the maximum income threshold for SCREE and DREE, and also the homeownership counterpart, the SHE and D, to the consumer price index increases each year. So this means that it's currently, since 2014, it's been 50,000. It stayed at 50,000 even though inflation prices have gone up. And then there have been like COLA adjustment to seniors and disabled people's income. All of that has like not impacted the threshold, and we're hearing that there's a lot of concern on that. So indexing it to CPI is one way that we seek to at least kind of keep the threshold to some sort of, agreed upon index.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can see from the language. Yeah, and then so this is the one item, and then the second thing that this does is just raise the maximum income threshold outright. So instead of 50,000, there's a part of the bill in this current form that basically says, starting 2024, which likely will be like the language will be starting 2025 next year, but whatever the year that enactment is, it will increase it outright to $61,000. So that is to account for the fact that there wasn't any inflation adjustment since 2014. We came up with 61,000. Really, we found an inflation calculator online and just plug in what a certain number, 50,000 in 2014, what does it equal in like 2023 or 2024 dollars. There's a range. This is something we think we should at least acknowledge that there hasn't been any, and we want to make that the criteria. So those are the two things that the bill does.
Yeah, and this is amazing, and I'm really glad that the senator is sponsoring this because it will help a lot of people. Why isn't this going up? There's inflation, but there's also rental increases that this doesn't reflect. Why is it just going to be based on this inflation of the 50K? Because even with inflation, it's been more of an impact on rent. So it should be more like 71K, I think, as a minimum. I honestly don't think this increase is going to stay the, help the amount of people.
I agree.
And there's other indicators.
Well, Hallie, can you tell us why? Do you know why it's only at 61,000?
So right now it was basically the kind of like the number that's spit out when we put in the inflation calculator. So that we're not like set on that number. Like there may be other considerations. If the senator gets what he wants next year when we work on the bill, we may go back to the inflation calculator and plug in 2025, and that will probably bump the number up.
No,
No.
that's not what we're saying. What we're saying is that the rents have increased far beyond the cost of the CPI, right? Far beyond the CPI. So $50,000 or $61,000 is really going to make it. It's not enough of a threshold for people to be able to pay rent.
Right.
What we're saying that threshold, is not enough, and we want it to be
Eligible seniors
Yeah.
who have the opportunity to earn as much as they want are gonna seek to earn more to cover that shortfall. And so they'd be bumped out again.
Right, that's exactly right. And I think that, I appreciate just kind of, hey, let's plug a number into this, calculator, that's what we'll use. It's one way to look at it, but I think we need to look at it.
Is it statewide or just New York?
It'll be staying.
It's totally different, as we all know. Rents in New York City are completely different than rents in the rest of the state.
If we were to do a resolution, Hallie, that said that this should be a higher bit threshold and it should also, there should be some kind of compensation for, yeah, like average media.
Well, the SMS, they, I, for single person, it's 80%. Could be 80, it could be 60.
What's the SMS?
It's this statistical area for New York and the area. But the question is, I don't know what any longer, what the AMA is, and we should tie it in some way, because in some has assets, they're calculated. So if I'm making $4,000, let's even say $5,000 a month from social security and interest, that's $60,000. Some people make that, and I feel this correct. We should add it higher.
I'm gonna totally disrupt this. Do we have to vote on anything tonight? Okay, I think this is a larger conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this was originally brought because it was brought when the assembly was still in session.
That's correct.
And it didn't make it to the agenda because we had all those other things that came up.
That's correct.
And so now session has ended and this wasn't passed right before the session ended. We decided to still talk about it, but we have time to address it in a more, you know.
I was going to ask you a simple question.
Simple question.
To Holly,
Yeah.
is for the income threshold for screen, to be eligible for that is just the income threshold, also the asset?
Oh. No, it's the income, like the annual income for the household. So
Assets are not factored in, correct?
no.
Thank you.
Sure, because in affordable housing, they are.
She just said no. It's a different program.
Diane?
That's ours.
Assets are not.
Oh, I just want to ask, do you know
In,
why
like,
it
housing
didn't
Your
go
assets.
through the, didn't pass the.
Okay, everybody, please. Ally, do you know why this didn't pass?
Yeah, so there, I would say this, like this bill, and slight diversion, but if you're interested in looking at a kind of a companion bill, we also have S569. That's another Scree bill. It would essentially means if you're eligible and you are enrolled in Scree and DREE, it would sort of make it so that the amount you pay, it's 1/3 of your income. So it makes it an affordable program instead of just a freeze. That's even a more heavy lifting. But I mentioned that because this pair of bills that we have, it's been
That's not answering our question, Ally.
Yeah.
We're gonna invite you to come and have a much more in-depth discussion about this, because we can't do this tonight. But what we just wanted to know is why, Mitch, please, why did this bill pass? Do you have a quick answer for that?
Yeah, so there's always been a fiscal concern. And then to the extent that I'm aware, it's not a lack of support overall from the city. So Councilmember Gail Brewer actually recently passed a resolution in City Council, like the first week of June, in support of this bill, the 2960. It passed the City Council. So that's a good sign. Like when people ask like what the city's position is, City Council is supportive. Even in the kind of city mayor's administration, there's been kind of the willingness from DOF to kind of think it's a good idea, or openness to further the conversation. Where it's been stuck, the bill hasn't moved primarily because I can only speak for the Senate, like the due diligence that the Senate leadership does. It's one question they'll ask is like, hey, does New York City support this? Because it will impact. And thus far as I'm aware, OMB has not kind of given a green light. The reason they did give, though, it's it's a law that passed last year that Senator Liz Kruger sponsored that would sort of authorize New York City to define how income is defined and calculated for programs like 3 and 3. So OMB is giving us the reason for like, we don't want to take a position on 2960 until we understand the fiscal implication of this Liz Kruger's law of what that means. So they're stalling it a little bit in this session, you know, despite like Liz pushing for this bill and advocating for it out of her finance committee. We still didn't get like any formal support from the city. And that's what caused the bill to sort of haven't moved past the kind of where it did.
So, thank you, Kylie. You know what? I'm really grateful that you took your time this evening to come and speak to us about this. But I am going to make an executive decision and just call a halt to this discussion right now. We're gonna ask you to come back either in July or September. And we'll have a much more in-depth discussion because I think some people really don't understand what 3 and 3 are. And we need to understand a little bit more about the income and how they actually came to this nation. And we can't do it in 10 minutes. So Hallie, thank you. And
yes,
enjoy the rest of your summer. And we will, or maybe just enjoy until we see you in July.
Okay, yeah, happy to come back whenever. And yeah, this is an important bill for us, so I'm definitely, you know, it would be great to continue the conversation.
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna stop recording. I thank you, everybody. Meeting is over.
Jill.